Say, Casey, do you know how much a polar bear weighs?
I'm going to say 30 or 40 pounds at least.
Enough to break the ice. Hi, I'm Chris Duke. Today's episode is brought to you by manic episodes, bipolar disorder, depression, and Bell's palsy. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
So like we're waiting for Kim. The weather's a little crazy right now. I didn't know that it was supposed to get shitty today, but we were talking about stuff before we started recording, waiting for Kim, and then we realized like, oh, this is
good stuff.
Stuff of substance.
Yeah.
You were telling me that you had tried hypnotherapy?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I have been like this summer was really bad for me. Like after comedy shut down and everything, I went from being in a position where I was going to be able to move into my own place without roommates and live off of comedy money. Like I made it, like that's the dream. Like
absolutely.
I don't care if you sell out arenas or whatever, but if you're living off of comedy money, that's how you made it. I don't feel like I had a job. And when everything shut down, I obviously lost all that income. I stopped working at my part-time job, and I went from being in a position of finding my own place and without roommates and living on my own to now moving back to my parents' house, like at 35 years old,
Yeah.
So I was just grasping at anything to try to feel better. I was seeing my regular therapist twice a week. I started a group, like a therapy group. Like I didn't start it. I joined in, at
I got you.
At a hospital,
Yep.
There was one point actually earlier this summer where I was on the phone with a friend. I was having a bad day, and I said a few things that made that friend feel unsafe, getting off the phone with me without me being somewhere where I could get some help, Personally, I didn't feel like I was in danger, but that friend did. So they felt like I should go into the hospital and see what happened, which is what I did, because I trust others' judgments when I'm in that sort of shitty space as well. Like I'm able to.
That's like that thing we were talking about before we started recording. So John Cleese says, stupid people lack the capacity to recognize that they're stupid.
Yeah.
Really what that's speaking to is just when you're in too deep into one thing, you lack the capacity to recognize the danger that you're in.
Yeah. So I felt it was really important to listen to my friend who was like, you need to go in somewhere. So I did. And then that was a fucking disaster. It was so like that whole story is ridiculous of being in there. Cause like one, like I said, I didn't feel like I was in danger. Like I trusted myself enough, but I went in just in case. Mm-hmm. But they gave me some info about a group, at the hospital that they were running.
So like doing some outpatient stuff?
Well, technically it was supposed to be like 3 or 4 hours a day. Like in the before times, it would be 3-4 hours a day, 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
And you would go in.
Oh, okay. So yep.
But now it's over Zoom, which is.
So I think that's intensive outpatient.
Yeah.
So where I think that's
you're
what not
it is,
admitted, you're not a resident.
Correct. Yeah. So I started doing those over Zoom, and I mean, I'm not going to say where I was doing it or anything like that because the experience was not that great. Like,
yeah.
To their credit, they're doing what they can over Zoom meetings and stuff. But like, I had, from joining the group, my first 2 weeks of it, so 4 sessions, I was doing it twice a week. My first 4 sessions, I had a different therapist in every session, which meant I had to explain my story every time. And so like the first one, obviously when you first start a therapy thing, you have to tell your background, like you expect that. So I went through and told them what it was, what was happening and everything, and how bad I was feeling and why I ended up there. And I felt like the other people were listening. It was nice to have other people who understand. That's what the point of groups is
For sure.
All those other people understand. And then the next session was like 2 days later, and they're like, okay, Casey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I'm like, I already did. You know, like, what do I gotta, now you're gonna make me really live this again? Like, can we start moving forward a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And it, like, because it didn't even seem like the therapist compared notes or anything or talked about it, because they were asking questions that I already explained to the, you know, and they weren't like really like specific questions like, oh, you know, do you remember what jeans you were wearing when this happened? It was like, okay, and what do you do for a job again? And I'm like, I'm a fucking comedian. Like that's, you know, also that's not like a job you forget, you know? And like if somebody's like, oh yeah, that guy's a comedian, like it's like, oh, that kind of sticks in, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
whereas, it's a unique job for sure.
it stands out a little bit. So I was getting frustrated with that. And then honestly, some of the other people in the group, I felt, I forget how my actual therapist phrased it. She said something about like, I'm like high functioning with my depression. Whereas like the other people in the group were like the type of people who like one of them literally hadn't like showered in like 2 months, you know, which is like, I feel awful for people like that, but like, I'm not at that level. So it became to a point where it felt like I was almost running some of the groups, you know, like we would have some new people come in and they would be like, does anything have anything they want to say to the new person to welcome them in? And of course, nobody, you know, everybody's looking away from their screen, you know, and doing all that stuff. And I was just like, all right, fuck it. Like, sure, you know, welcome, you know, we don't judge here. We're all here to get some help and feel better. And I'm like, am I running this? Like, what is happening? You know, like, and some of the funniest parts were like just what I've started calling it is like the therapist voice, you know, where they're like listening, they're like, yeah, oh, I'm sure that was hard for you. And it's like, don't fucking just talk to me, you know, like don't give me this soft voice. That's why I love my regular therapist is like, she'll swear at me and like, you know, she'll just be like, you're being a fucking idiot right now. And I'm like, thank you. You know, like that. I love, like, I much prefer that to like, oh, it's okay. You know?
I was, there was a psychiatrist that I was seeing at the treatment center that I was at. Mm-hmm. And I had a panic attack because I dealt with or gone through some shit as a child that I didn't realize was like potentially traumatic, or like had just never thought of it in that way.
I'm learning that too. It's fucking weird.
It's super weird.
It's so weird, dude.
So I have this panic attack, and the next session, the psychiatrist is like, I noticed you had a tough time last session. I was like, yeah, dude. Somebody had to walk me back to my fucking room. He's like, I'd like to try some meditation. And he pulls out a sheet of paper and he's reading it. And he's like, feel your feet on the ground and being rooted. Do you feel rooted? Good. And as soon as I heard him say good, I was like, you fucking...
Yeah.
So,
like,
so we go through the thing and he's like, so what'd you think? And I go, did it say good on the sheet of paper? And he goes, yeah.
Oh my God. He's just reading a script. Oh my God. Nothing makes you feel like you matter less than just like, oh, your emotions are on this paper. Like you do not give a shit. That's so funny because also now I'm just remembering that this whole story started with hypnotherapy.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm still like 3 weeks before I even thought of that.
Oh, okay. Well, it helps to give history because I think most people's perception of you is that you are well managed and fairly, like, you have a good way of looking at things as a job, but not in a like rigid way. You're just motivated and you have pretty clear sight as to how to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So knowing this other stuff about you, I think helps people realize that like depression does not discriminate. Right. It doesn't give a shit what you look like, it doesn't how successful you are, anything like that.
And I try really hard to present like a put together person. You know, a lot of people don't realize how much I struggle, and that's a lot of work that I do on the outside. And it's not necessarily that I'm ashamed of it or anything. It's just, you know, a lot of people don't feel comfortable knowing that sort of thing quite yet. You know, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better to be able to talk openly about this sort of thing.
Well, and we're of the same age when we were in school, like nobody knew how to properly deal with kids like us.
Right. And that's what I'm learning about like my teenage years is like the more I'm like thinking about it and like kind of going through some stuff, I'm like, oh shit, that was fucked up. You know, like, well, no wonder I'm like constantly doing this and like worried about this is because this happened with my, you know, my uncle or my parents or whatever. And it's like, and you know, with that being said, you know, my parents are fantastic. Like they did the best they could. You know, they don't. Nobody fucking knows what they're doing.
I feel like we're the last generation of people who can, like, their parents can get away with. They were doing the best they could. Now there's so much more accountability.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is like, well, you have kids. Like I don't have any kids, but like we're the ones. Our generation is going to be the ones who end it. Who are
That's
open.
The hope, yeah.
You know, with like I've seen you interact with your kids a handful of times, and like I can tell there's like a mutual respect there. Like you respect them as people, whereas like I'm not necessarily sure my parents respected me as a person when I was 10 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so hard to live and to go through that when you feel under somebody. Whereas like if I ever have a child, like I hope not, but like if I do, like, you know, treat them with like a mutual respect. Like I have a friend of mine who's a teacher with kids who are like troubled, but like not quite troubled to like be sent to like the bad kid school.
Okay,
you know?
I gotcha.
So like she's one of the few people in her school. She like just won this big Teacher of the Year award in her district or whatever because she can connect with these kids and get them to do their homework and shit when no other teachers can. And I literally was just talking to her today about it, how it's just a mutual respect thing, you know, like
absolutely.
There are kids in there who like have their phones out in all their other classes and she doesn't allow that in there, and they understand that. They know that they have to give her their phone when they come in because they respect each other. She respects them, and I think that's so nice. To like it's the way things should be now. Like we have to respect each other as people, whether you're 3 years old or, you know, 300 years old. Like it doesn't matter.
Absolutely, man. And
that's kind of like how I was feeling like in that group therapy, you know. How about this for a tie back? Like, because like I felt like just another, like I might as well have just been a sheet of paper to them, you know. Like,
do you mind if I ask what your diagnosis has been?
My only official diagnosis is a major depression.
Okay.
Like major depression.
Yeah. Because you sound very similar to me in that whole, to me, the most important thing in the world is sincerity. And
That's
when you
it.
can convey and you do such a wonderful job of that, like no bullshit. Mm-hmm. And when you're in those types of settings, it's very insincere.
Yeah.
When somebody's reading off a sheet of paper. That's
all I want is genuine. Like to be genuine, you know. The sheet of the paper thing is just as bad to me as being like, oh, it's okay. That sounds tough. Like, yeah, of course it fucking sounds tough. I'm in group therapy, you idiot. Like, I'm not here for fun, you know. Yeah. Like, I'm not just having a fucking chat. Like, yeah, it's tough. Like, but we know that already. Like, help me, you know. Like, yeah. Let's move forward. Like, you know, and like, it's so frustrating when people aren't genuine. And that's the thing is like, even if there are some comics, I mean, even in Minneapolis, and anybody can play a little guessing game with who I'm talking about. There's some comics that I don't like. I think they're assholes.
Oh, sure.
But they're very funny. And they're really funny. They're assholes, but they own the fact that they're assholes.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Thank God you made it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you made it. Everybody, Kim's here. I'm hosting this podcast now.
How are you? Yay.
Kim is back. Welcome to my podcast. How was your drive? Speaking to the microphone, please. That's how this works.
Am I even plugged in?
No, not even close.
Yeah, let me get you
To be honest, we didn't think you were going to make it, so we didn't bother plugging anything.
I off of a county road. I couldn't get down it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was coming, there's like a little layer of moisture, and now it's starting to freeze. So it's been rough.
Casey and I have been having some fucking breakthroughs in here.
We talked about so much like real shit, and then we were like, we should probably turn this on. Because we had some pretty great stuff before we even started recording.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. So you were talking about in that group setting and the lack of sincerity and where to move forward.
Right. Yeah, like... Oh yeah, because I was talking about there's some comics in Minneapolis who I think
you're right.
Are
Sorry.
assholes, but they are very funny. But the fact they don't hide that they're assholes, and I like that. Like if you're an asshole, that's fine. We don't have to be friends or anything. Just be real with who you are.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's all you got to do. And so like I felt like while I was going through group therapy, Kim, to catch you up, I did like some group therapy stuff, and then also did some hypnotherapy like in October, which was super fun. But I didn't really like the group therapy because it was so just not sincere. Like the therapists I had, so many different therapists. I had to explain my story like
over and over.
And like it felt like they didn't even like talk about it amongst themselves. Like, like a couple of them didn't even know I was a comedian, and I had been going for like 6 sessions already.
Wow.
So it's like they don't even know anything about you.
I'm actually glad you're here because I was going to ask you about this because I noticed that because unfortunately I've seen a lot of different psychiatrists, therapists, and things like that. Therapists or people in the mental health field seem to have to try and be as what's the phrase I'm looking for? Is it objective? Is is all inclusive is objective? Yeah, I
don't know what you're trying to
they're
say.
trying to be like as objective as possible to make sure that whatever advice they're giving it's applicable to everybody, so that it's not the thing that I saw a lot was.
But you also went like the therapists you went to were like on the mental health unit.
Yeah.
And in treatment. So it's going to seem like that. But when you find an individual therapist, they cater to your needs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you were in a group setting.
So
I was
that's,
in a group,
yeah. So they're just, they're just like
generic. Yeah.
Here you go. It'll fit with you somehow.
Yeah.
Well, and the questions that they ask, they want you to answer in a way that sounds like you're capable of problem solving. And they think that that's going to be helpful to the group. But on an individual level, it feels like they're not really trying to help me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I've never done group type therapy like you guys. Obviously, you guys both have. So I can see where it's, yeah.
Can I try something real quick?
Oh my gosh, it's the microphone
Chris,
thing.
are you fucking up my podcast?
I'm like, I felt bad. I want to be like,
And
can I
we're
come
back.
in and help you?
Yeah, right.
But poor kid. He's like, I'm just
Go get you can eat.
I'm not going to eat right now. It's fine.
Just chew into the microphone. It's my podcast.
Chris hates that.
I
So
have-
we'd have to definitely
Don't
do
y'all
a group.
eat things on your fucking podcast?
But I have misophonia.
He is mesothelioma. I can never say that word.
Didn't even come close.
I'm terrible. I may have a master's degree, but I cannot say words. All the time I'm like, the kids will be like, Mom, how do you say this? I'm like, ask your dad. I don't
It's
know.
cat. It's cat.
Well, that doesn't count. I was going to say bag, but I'm
Bag?
Minnesotan, so.
Yeah, what are you
I
gonna
couldn't
do?
understand. I thought Layla was saying something about. I made her tell me a story. I get so anxious on ice, and I have a tiny car. I'm
yeah.
like, Layla, tell me a story, and she was telling me this whole Christmas movie, and then she
Incredible.
goes, and the girl was in the bag. She said bag, and I'm like, she was in the back. No, the bag. And I go, oh, the bag.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what she was saying.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's the first instance of that where I've heard like somebody else having an issue with hearing the proper version of it,
Okay.
being like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Whoa, you're an idiot.
Are you still living in Monticello?
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
okay.
I'm staying around here. I am working at I don't even know if I should say it because I'm about to talk shit about it.
We can bleep it. You work at a beep.
I work
strip
at
club.
a yeah, that'd be so much more fun. I work at a retail store that offers discounted merchandise is like basically what I'll say. And like you were saying, all the people at Chipotle are like just doing the best they can. Like the funny thing is like now we have to like spray our register counters between every people and thing like that. And people are so impatient. You know, they see somebody walk away, and it's supposed to be like at the bank now, where it's like you wait your turn back there, then you get called up to the register.
Or like at the pharmacy, you stand behind the line.
That's how it should be everywhere.
All the time.
Everywhere.
Why people shouldn't be in our bubbles, period.
Exactly. And so people will walk up before I've had a chance to spray, and I I purposely like keep my head down so I can claim that I didn't see them coming up, and then I just spray the fuck out of their shit. Like they'll like set their purses down. I'm like, psh, oh. And then they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Yeah, you're fucking sorry."
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, the pups came in.
Layla, can you come show
Oh my.
But anyway, Chris, you have mesothelioma.
Yeah, I have mesothelioma. I am your loved one. And
Stupid.
No, that was funny. I liked it.
But no, so misophonia.
Where you hate the noise
Sound
of people chewing.
So it's not just chewing though; it can be applicable to any sound.
Oh, do you hate the lip smack?
Lip smack. Well, but it
Ice
can,
and cups.
yeah.
Oh,
So I can't because it's
coworker,
usually like
coworker.
a negative thing happened, and then now sounds associated with the like bring you back to that thing. So like the chewing thing, I was stuck in a pickup truck with my uncle who chews with his mouth open like nobody's business. It's fucking horrific.
My older brother is a big mouth chewer open thing. It's like he can't get the food in his mouth quick enough.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like he also has diabetes, so he probably is just hungry all the time.
Clearly got the food in his mouth quick enough. I'm so sorry. That was so insensitive. No,
he's got the first one, the type 1, where
it's not his fault.
It's not his fault. Type 2, it's your fault.
Oh my god.
Shame on you. Oh,
do you have a ponytail?
No.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I could.
Oh, I thought it wasn't a pony.
No, this is what I've been doing. I've been shaving this.
Oh.
So I just have like the long top part right now.
Yeah.
I love doing that.
But I have to because this hair right here on the side of my head is. Do we broadcast video on this podcast?
We're sure.
It's right there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
look.
for the listeners at home, I'm touching my head. This hair on the side, like right above my ears, goes like this, like a clown afro,
Like the guy on The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah, Sideshow Bob.
So if I have long hair like this, it goes
Ah.
and then I look like fucking
like you stick your finger in a socket.
yeah, exactly.
When you have your hair down like that, you look like
This is gonna hurt.
like a chef from Sweden.
Oh yeah.
You
Like
do.
a
You look
high-
like a Top Chef guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
You thought it was going to be negative?
I mean,
Well,
I was
it is
kind of
you.
hoping, honestly. No, that was fun.
Okay.
No, I took my hat off on stage when I was playing the House of Comedy over the Halloween weekend. I forget why, but like I've been wearing a hat so much because I'm like really self-conscious of how bad it looks. Like, yeah, I like the way my hair looks from the front. Like when it's tucked behind my ear, like looking head on in the mirror. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look so bad. And then I'll see a picture from like the side, and it's like, what in the fuck are you doing with your hair? So like, I wear hats on stage and everything, and like, I like took my hat off, and like I was like, that's the most vulnerable I've ever been on stage, and they clapped for me. It was so fucking stupid. We are all over the place.
I'm sorry. I come in
No.
here and I just like
My
threw us back.
my brother was on our podcast a few weeks ago, and he took his hat off, and he must have seen my eyes get like kind of bigger because he's losing his hair.
Oh,
And he was
Young.
like, should I was like, I just was going to say it was very brave of you.
He's like 24.
yeah. Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, and that's another thing is like my hairline in the front is going farther back every day.
Yeah.
And now I'm
Like
realizing.
JoJo Siwa.
Yeah. And like, I'm realizing the back of my head is also going bald now too. So I'm just like clinging.
It's gonna catch up to each other eventually.
just
They're gonna run
clinging
into
on
each other.
as long as I can.
That's why I won't let Chris cut his hair because it's like this is it's gonna keep going.
You still got a
but
pretty
he's getting a little JoJo Siwa tension alopecia is what they call it because he wears his hair up all the time.
Excuse me, it's called hypertension alopecia.
Oh.
It's not hypertension alopecia. Hypertension's your blood pressure.
Deborah, If you want to challenge me on this one,
I'll challenge you.
grab your
Look.
phone. Oh, and also grab my nicotine gum. Yep.
Oh, I see.
Dude, that's so funny. The nicotine gum is hilarious. My dad quit smoking like probably 5-6 years ago now. Actually, a lot longer than that. And he still chews the nicotine gum. And so now instead of like, after dinner, he's like, I'm going out for a gum.
I love that. That's so funny.
Go grab a little piece of gum and chew on it.
I love
It's hilarious. I love the nicotine gum. Hey, anything to like keep him from smoking so much, Cause
Yeah.
My mom's smoking with COVID right now. I'm like, if she lives through this, then we're all going to be okay.
it's solved. We have a judgment in the argument of which
They call it traction alopecia.
traction.
We were both wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you idiot.
Gradual hair loss
Type
caused
in-
primarily by pulling force from being applied to hair.
Type in
Frequent wearers of having their hair in ponytails, pigtails, or braids.
hypo.
You said hypertension.
All right, it's a race.
I went to the doctor recently and they told me to cut out the sodium because I have high blood pressure.
Oh, yeah. And there's sodium in everything.
I know.
Alopecia hypertension is associated to your heart disease.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Kim Duke, you're right.
Well, I mean, but I wasn't wrong.
Do you
So
have
you
a
can't
sounder?
have, huh?
Do you have a sounder that says Kim
No,
Duke, you're right?
I
You
should
get one.
though, because it never happens.
For the listeners at home, this is my podcast. Get Kim a sounder, send her in.
So no cup of noodles for you. There's like 1,300 milligrams
shit.
of
No,
sodium in it.
I cut carbs like quite a bit.
I was gonna say, when I walked in, you look like you lost weight.
Yeah, I know. I'm hot now, huh? It
I
sucks.
was like, holy crap, he looks like he lost weight. Like, is it the black paint or is it Casey?
No, it's a little bit of both.
I went ahead and gained the weight that you lost.
Yeah, I gave it to you. Yeah, no problem. No, I've got a little ways to go, but yeah, I've done pretty well. But
Did you do keto or you just went lower carbs?
I'm so like the type of person who can't follow like a strict
yeah,
thing. I'm like, I'll just if you keep your carbs low and exercise, it's gonna work.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like you're gonna slip up every once in a while. Like I had Taco Bell this afternoon.
Hell yeah, you did.
But like, it's fine. Like
Yeah.
I also ran 5 miles today, so
Holy
it's, like,
shit!
it's fine. Like it's gonna be okay.
yeah, yeah.
Do you run outside or do you do
I ran
indoor?
outside today.
Okay, it was nice out today.
It was a really nice. A few months ago, I got plantar fasciitis in my left foot, which put me on the sidelines for like 2 months, I think. I did a thing with comedian Josh Floorhog. Him and I set a goal in September to run the hilarious length of 69 miles in the month. And we both did it.
Wow.
We both did it, and it was so fun. It was so worth it. But about 4 or 5 days into that little challenge, I got fasciitis. And so I ran like fucking 50 miles with like on plantar fasciitis, and it just hurt so fucking bad.
Oh my gosh!
Did you get the inserts that are specific for that?
I didn't do anything. I just kept running with
and you ran it off, huh?
my regular shoes. I didn't run it off. It still hurt at the
Yeah.
end of September.
Did you do the
You have a roller? Did you do
I
that?
would roll it out on a golf ball.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
I would ice it a little bit. I would massage it. I would do what I could, but it still hurt so fucking bad.
yeah?
So the end of September, I was like, okay, I'm just not running. I'm taking some time off. And then one day I was feeling good in like mid-October, and I went for a run, and I made it like quarter mile, and I felt it like kind of snap back and hurt again. So I was like, God dang it. And then 2 days ago, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to go out and I'm going to test it a little bit. And I was doing a quarter mile at a time. I would run, like Vin Diesel, I would just run. And I ran out there, and it wasn't hurting. And the dogs just came in.
going on?
You're-
Close it until it shuts.
Harder.
Pull.
Oh no.
Oh man.
This whole house is garbage.
Now we gotta turn
You
it.
gotta
Refund.
Throw it away.
Refund.
You gotta throw it away.
The only one that knows how to close the door.
I've got a tent in my trunk.
He
Y'all
can close
stay
the
in.
doors, but he can't shut off lights.
No.
Here
no.
we go.
Every light in this house is on and outside.
Oh, it drives me crazy. I just saw a meme the other day of like a dad like with that face like, or the light's on and you're not in the room, and I'm like, that's me, and I'm not even an old guy.
Well, you're getting there.
Getting there.
So yeah, I tested it 2 days ago
Yeah.
and it felt good. It started to hurt around. I got to 2 miles, like doing like a quarter mile, half mile at a time. And then this morning I woke up and I haven't been feeling great mentally. And I was like, I'm going to go move around a little bit. And I was like, we're just going to run until it hurts or until it starts to hurt, not
Yep,
like,
yep.
not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
until
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
fucking walk, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah.
psychopath. So I went out and it just never hurt.
Wow.
And then next thing I know, I was like, I'm at 5 miles right now. And I was just like, God damn it. And not only that, but it was like a 9-minute pace. Like,
Oh, wow.
I'm like, holy shit. Like the whole time, like I got slower and slower at each
Yeah.
mile. But like to keep up a 9-minute pace after not running for like a month and a half and like no pain at all, I'm stoked right now. Because
Yeah.
like I
That's why you ate T-Bell. You're
Yeah.
like, I earned that.
well, that and I was stoned. But like but yeah, there were many factors as to why.
Running.
I love
We
it.
don't. Oh God, no.
I love
I've
it.
never gotten that runner's high that people talk about.
I mean, I don't know if I ever like have gotten like the runner's high, but I definitely like I think they call it like flow, like being in flow
Yeah.
when you're running. Like it just feels like you're floating. Your breath is perfect, and you're like you're not thinking about what you're doing.
Oh, I think about it the whole time. I look at okay, how far? No,
Same.
I can't run. I think I ran a full mile once in my life, like not walked
Really?
at all. And I was so excited about it, and I haven't done it since.
Let's,
What are you going to do?
Chris doesn't like to run either, so that's fine. I feel
if you don't like it, you don't like it.
I just
you
don't
know?
like it.
Like
I like my parents smoked so heavily growing up. I feel, and I use this as an excuse, but I feel like I have like really bad secondhand smoke, so I just can't breathe when I run. I also feel like I run weird. Like I don't land on my feet right.
see, that's the thing too. Is like if you're like slapping your feet or whatever, it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
Well, with the plantar fasciitis thing, like there's insoles that are specific to dealing with that, and then you gotta work your heel like up to the Achilles tendon, work
Yeah.
the heel, go down. It's a whole fucking thing.
What
This
I did
episode
is
is sponsored by Dr. Scholl's. Thanks.
By being old as shit.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, this is going
I
to
got-
be called the geriatric episode.
I got different shoes.
Oh, just to run?
Yeah, like just at the end of August, I got new shoes, and I think that's what caused the plantar fasciitis in September. But I kept running on them, and then
No, you broke them in.
Yeah, and then recently, like middle of October, I got a different pair, like really really nice ones. A very lovely friend of mine bought them for me for my birthday a month in advance, and so I was able to use them a couple days ago and today, and they feel so fucking good. Like they feel fantastic. So I'm stoked
Beautiful.
to be able to run again. I just bought a bunch of like cold weather running gear and stuff. So I'm like
Hell yeah.
all
You're gonna be that
riled up.
guy.
I'm gonna be out there. So if you're in Monticello, come and throw shit at me or something. You know,
We live in a very active neighborhood too, where me and Chris,
Really?
we just don't
yeah.
fit in
Yeah,
here either.
we're indoor cats.
Yeah, we're indoor.
Yeah,
I'm seeing all
yeah.
these people walking their dogs and waving at each other, and my fat dog is just like, "When are you gonna walk me?" And wrong,
No thanks.
wrong owner, buddy.
You know what's interesting actually is if I run in the city, I'm not afraid of like getting hit by a car or anything because people are like aware.
Yes,
Right.
But
Yeah.
out here, I've almost gotten hit so many fucking times. I don't know if it's because people aren't aware. They're not like, there's not as many pedestrians, so they're not looking.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if they're just like, fuck you, you're running in the road, I'm going to hit you. Because like I've slapped the hood of a car before because
Oh
he
my
was about to hit
gosh.
me. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
but that happens, like it happened right out here, like by the Walmart in Monticello.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's
those
a
people
bad
over
spot.
there, you know.
It's why do they drive like assholes?
I don't
over
know.
there?
And you know that speaking of like spraying people,
Yeah.
when this whole thing started and they weren't cleaning the carts, so I went and sprayed my cart like crazy, and this guy's like, using enough spray. I would be like, fuck you guys.
Spray him in the face.
I know, and now I'm like, man, I should have just sprayed him and been like,
You should've.
sorry. didn't
Don't
want
talk
you
near me.
Don't, yeah. And I was wearing a mask. He was, and I was like,
Of course not. What are these masks? Okay, so you know the plastic face shield that it like connects on your forehead and
yeah.
goes down.
What's it do? How does
Well,
it
first of
prevent
all,
from anything coming up?
That does nothing.
Yeah.
And then like people think that's the only thing you have to wear. But then also I've seen this lately, a inverted face shield where it hits on your chin and then it comes up the height of like a normal mask, except for it doesn't connect to your nose, and it's just a plastic.
Droplets are just gonna drop down.
It does
in
nothing.
There.
It does absolutely
No.
nothing, and it there's no point. You may as well not be wearing a mask.
Yeah. Layla really wanted one because the place that I go to get my nutrition shakes, she wears them, and I'm like, Layla, it's not protecting.
That's not
the
helping
droplets are
anything.
gonna drop right in there.
Yeah.
And out.
Yeah.
Like-
oh, for sure. You sneeze, it's right out.
Because I wear a mask to protect other people. I don't give a shit about myself enough to care about a little respiratory disease.
I can just say this.
That's like a guy saying yeah, she had herpes, but I don't.
It's funny you say that actually because I have a story.
About herpes?
No, not about herpes.
Oh, COVID herpes?
Actually, the actual story is I was with a woman about a year ago who I had dated in the past, and then we touched base again and ended up hooking up. Because we had been together before and trusted each other, we did not use protection. And then about a week later, she messaged me and she's like, "Hey, I just tested positive for chlamydia." And I'm like, "Oh, fucking awesome." And so she goes, I was like, "Well, have you been with anyone else, or are you was it just me recently, not caring, whatsoever?" And she was hesitant to say, she's like, "Well, no, I think, well, no, it was just you." And I'm like, "Come on, this is more than getting a little jealous, just be honest, be real."
Yeah.
So immediately I went and got tested and everything, and it came back all negative,
nice.
for everything.
And that's hard because guys will not, usually they don't show any symptoms. So you could,
Right.
yeah. So you're lucky.
And I was like, man, I'm out here just spreading it because I fuck,
You're like, I don't have any symptoms. You're like the asymptomatic chlamydia spreader, but you didn't
right,
have it.
Exactly. But the thing is, I was telling a few of my friends, I was like, "Oh, I just had somebody tell me that I might have chlamydia," and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've had that." I'm like, "What the fuck? Why does everyone because it's
Never.
They give you one pill and it goes away.
Yeah.
So it's it's not that big.
Did they
of a
all go to
deal.
St. Cloud State? Because that's the
Probably.
chlamydia capital.
Probably. I've
Yeah.
heard that about St. Cloud
Me
and
too.
Mankato too as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I've never had chlamydia.
have you heard
I've never have either.
Ari Shafir's bit on chlamydia?
I haven't.
So chlamydia clears up in 10 days.
Right.
And he's like, so this disease shows you that people cannot stop fucking.
That's true.
All
That's
it would take
really
was for
funny.
everyone to just stop fucking for 10 days, but we just can't do it.
Well, all it would take for everybody to not get COVID is to stay inside for 3 months,
It's a good point.
and we can't do that.
That's also true.
Even in the beginning, it's like they tried doing everything they could. No one could stop bitching. It's like if we all just stayed home for 3 weeks, 21 days, nobody goes anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, eradicate it.
I get it. I get it though. When
It's
somebody
hard.
tells me I can't do something,
I
I'm
know.
like, well, now I fucking want to do that.
I know.
I have no interest in making a souffle, but now I take my hat off. I'm a Swedish chef, and I have to make a souffle. It's if someone's like, "You can't do that," I'm like, "Well, now I'm gonna fucking try."
I know. I'm
You
like,
know?
I don't even want to. I don't really like going to the Mall of America a lot, but now I'm like, now I want to go. Well, I mean, that's open, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going.
Oh my god, it's garbage down there.
Yeah, that's the chlamydia capital right now.
It sure is. Everybody's just fucking in there. It's crazy.
That is the fourth floor used to be
Yeah.
dedicated just to that.
Yeah, you walk in on floors 1 through 3, they hand you a mask. 4th floor, they hand you a condom and dick sanitizer. Not even hand sanitizer. It's specifically for dicks.
Spermicide.
Yeah, spermicide. That's what it is. We are so all over.
Okay,
Yes.
let's go back to this group there. I
was
want
just
to go
gonna
back to the
say,
mental health part
so
because I was gone.
You guys drive. I'll talk about whatever you want.
Okay, so we're going over the sincerity aspect of things
Yeah.
and kind of this backstory. So to fill you in, we were leading up to this hypnotherapy that he had done.
Oh, I would love to hear about this
Yes,
hypnotherapy.
yes, okay.
Yes.
So what happened is before I started the group therapy, I made a post on the social media about I'm starting this new therapy to hold myself accountable, and also get attention. And
Because it helps a little bit.
yeah, and an old friend of mine who used to manage a club in town reached out and said she's doing therapy now, hypnotherapy, and if I would like to try it to I can call her and touch base. And because she was such a good friend of mine, I was like, okay, I'm at least gonna listen and see what
Yeah.
if it was just a random stranger, I'd be like, fuck off. But this is a woman I know well, I trust, and I think she's a great person. So I reached out and she explained to me how it works, and we signed up and we did it just over Zoom. And like the thing I was worried about was like, am I gonna be like drooling all over myself, like completely knocked out, hypnotized? And it wasn't. It's not like that at all. Like I was very aware the whole time. It almost took a good like 15-20 minutes for me to realize it was happening.
Okay.
Because I still felt like I was trying to think of answers and things to the questions, but like she was like, just say the first thing that pops into your mind.
So you're still cognitive.
So like, yeah, like if I had to go to the bathroom during it, I would know that I had to go to the bathroom and be like, hey, we have to stop. So it was fantastic. Like,
So what is like hypnotherapy like? What's it good for treating?
This is the fascinating part, is it changed my life. Like it was like a switch went off in my head. The session took about 2 hours, and she started by asking questions about like certain things, like dealing with my childhood and things like that. Like the first scene that pops into my head, like she asked what I want to do. Like specifically what I was struggling with was accepting like the love that people give me. Like I am very, very untrusting when it comes to people, like more specifically like romantically, but also just in general. I push people away a lot. So like if I start making really good close friends with somebody, then all of a sudden I'm just radio silent for like a month to like push that away, because for whatever reason, like things happen
like
in
build
my
some walls and stuff,
in my childhood. I've been hurt by so many different people that it's like I don't want to put myself in that situation anymore.
So did you have a lot of friendships as a child that like you got really close to people and then something would happen? Okay.
Yeah, and even as an adult, like the whole thing of like, oh, I was hanging out with a group of people, and then like I was dating this one woman, and then we kind of broke up, but it wasn't like an official breakup. But then she slept with like my best friend to like get back at me, type, stuff like that. Where like people just broke my trust that I would put in them. And
it takes a lot. After a while, you're just like, what's the point?
Right.
Like
And
if I put these walls up and then I engage with these people, then I won't get hurt like I've been hurt before.
Right.
Yeah.
And it like I was at a point, like I've been at points in my life where like I feel like I've said multiple times, like I don't have anybody in my life who hasn't let me down in some way or another, which
Sure.
I mean, also that's life, that's part of life. That's like the way it goes sometimes. So what we wanted to focus on in the hypnotherapy was being able to feel like I'm worthy of other people's love, and like, accepting it and allowing it and being trusting that people do love me and care about me. And so we did a very, very quick, like, I'm going to walk you down these stairs. She's like, close your eyes, take some deep breaths in and out. And then like, she would like snap a few times, and like, she was like, okay, now picture yourself here. And then you kind of sit with like your head down a little bit. And then you just say whatever pops into your head. So she was asking me questions about my childhood and stuff, and a couple of the scenes that we like built or whatever, where I went to my memories, I guess is what you could call them. They were from like when I was like 7, like very, very young. And so what we actually did is she asked questions, and we got more specific about those memories and like walked through it. And we did like 3 separate scenes that we were dealing with. And then one by one, we went in, and me as 35-year-old adult male Casey went and physically sat with 7-year-old Casey and had a conversation. Like in my head, I was there. Like my eyes were closed. I was there looking at myself as a younger person and telling myself that it's okay to accept this love and everything like that. And it, like going back that far into things rewires something in your brain, you know, because like whatever happened in those crucial moments made my brain go this way.
Okay.
But then, so I've been going this way my entire life, and that's why it's been so hard for me to accept love and things like that. So we went all the way back to like that
28
fork.
years ago.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah.
that like fork in the road, and we went the other way. And after the session, I woke up and it was a different person. Like
wow.
the most amazing part of it to me is after talking to my younger self, we talked to the depression in my head, which she asked me to visualize it. And at the time, I told her it was like a dark, like scary looking cloud, like a bunch of scribbles. If you just like take a pen and just like jerk off a clown or something, like, and just make like a fucking thing. It had like a mean face.
So like 7-year-old depression, what it would look like.
Exactly what a
okay.
like a very young kid
Yeah.
would draw as depression, an angry, dark cloud. And one of the things, like I can remember all of this. That's, you know, how aware you are during
which
the
is
therapy,
good.
which is great. So we talked to the depression, and at one point she was like, okay, now I want you to ask the depression to leave. And I didn't want to. That's the fascinating thing to me, is she was like, and now we can ask it to leave and it'll just go away. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm not comfortable with that.
Because you found so much comfort in
because I've been living that
your
for
entire,
so long. And so she's like, okay, well, how about this? We'll give it a different job, right? So she was like feeding me these lines to say to the depression, like, okay, I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you're here to protect me from being hurt, but it's not working for me anymore. And I need you to, instead of making me sit in bed all day and like be not productive, I need you to help me. I need you to feed me ideas for writing. I need you to motivate me. I need you to do this. And as I was, you know, saying this to the depression with my eyes closed and all this stuff, this black cloud, no shit, started to transform. And it transformed in my mind from a dark, scary cloud into like this green, like welcoming circle with like a happier face on it.
Wow.
And it like now it lives in my head as a helpful thing instead of like this crazy cloud. And it like a switch went off in my head, and it was amazing. It was so fantastic. I couldn't believe how crazy it worked.
That's awesome, man.
I've never heard of hypnotherapy. Now I'm like,
I've heard
now
of
I
it
want to do
before.
that. And to get like 2 hours worth of it is amazing. Cause like you go to and I'm not downing on therapy, but like 50 minutes, it's like once you start like hashing it out, like first it's like, how's your week been? And then you start hashing the shit that's happened in a week or 2 weeks. And then you're like, okay, let's go back to my past. It's like, okay, well now it's time to go. It's like,
right.
Crap.
And then you're constantly like checking the clock. Like,
I do that all the time.
One more thing I want to sneak in.
Oh my gosh,
here,
I hope I
know?
can. I hope I don't go over my time. And
instead of just being able to talk about whatever is flowing out of your head. But
and it feels like you got to a root of a lot of the problems instead of like talking like over and over like, oh, my childhood was like this. It's like you got to at least go there.
We went there. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
The process is called, I hope I'm saying this right, rapid transformational therapy.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to look it up, and also anybody, please reach out to me, and I will give you the therapist's name. Her name is Rachel. She is incredible. And I've been telling everybody. About
so you
this.
just did the one session?
I actually did 2.
You did do 2.
I did a second one. The first one was much more helpful than the second one. Because I didn't. Like the second one, I kind of knew what I was getting into, so it wasn't as dramatic as a change. It still helped very much.
Yeah.
But I would say after 2, I'm good. You know,
wow.
like I'm not like cured forever.
No.
But like it was big time change.
Wow.
And even after just the one, like most people do 1 or 2, and that's it. and
Damn,
it's
I feel
crazy.
like I need to do that.
Well, I like the way that you're looking at it too, because I've been talking about this with a friend of mine who we have a mutual friend who has mental health issues, but they just say that they have a mental health issue with no resolve. It is an excuse for certain behaviors and flaking out on things, and so the fact that you're signifying that this is not the life-changing in that it cures all. It just allows you to be present, to be able to handle like the normal shit that everybody has to deal with.
Right.
When we have mental health issues, people who struggle with mental health issues, like life is difficult as it is. So when you pile on all of the things that have been going on recently, like we were able to survive based on what we knew was working, and now that this fucking curveball has come,
Yeah, I know.
Like our whole process of survival was completely fucked up.
And I feel like a lot of people too, like your group, like your guys' coping skill was using comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy was your main coping skill.
And
for that to be taken, I mean, you can still write and all that, but like a lot of it was writing, but performing it in like the audience and the people, even the people, like being around all those
it's
comedians.
a relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's an actual, we start to learn, we know what will get the crowd to have a certain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have this relationship where you genuinely feel like you know somebody, like the crowd becomes somebody. And so it feels like someone was literally taken out of your life like that.
And your livelihood, if you make money doing it.
I did not realize how much I needed the performing aspect of comedy until it was taken away from me. And then it changed everything. You know, like I said, it was at the end of the summer, like I was about to make it. You know, I was supposed to move out and into my own place without any roommates and live off of comedy money, and then it's all canceled and taken away. So not only am I moving home, but I also now don't get that feedback of, you know, that validation every week. You know, because I mean, I was working every week. I think this is just bragging, so feel free to like hate on me for this.
Not at all.
Because you worked really hard for it.
That's the thing. It's not like it just like your grandfather was the comedian, your dad was, and here you go.
Right.
It's, it's just, you get it.
Yeah, you're not with grandiose ideas.
I love. He's not one of the assholes I was talking about earlier. No, I think I had 4 weekends in all of 2019 where I didn't have a show Friday and Saturday. Like there were some where I had, you know, maybe a Friday or a Saturday off, but to have both off, I think I only like 4 times. And like a couple of them were by choice because I was like traveling, like for fun, you know, and took a vacation or whatever. So I mean, I was there. I was constantly on stage, like at least once a week. I think it averaged to like 3 or 4 times a week. I was on stage getting that validation from everybody, and also just having a fucking blast because like comedy is fun, and if you're not having fun doing comedy, you're doing it wrong. You know. And then it's all gone, and it's like, and then not only was it gone, but then there was like I did one show in July, you know, where it was like, okay, we're coming back a little bit, and like, and it went well, and then you get that boost, and you're up here, and then it's like, oh, now it's dropping again. And that show was on a Saturday, and by Wednesday I'm fucking depressed, you know. And the same thing is kind of even happening right now, you know, like we're in the middle of our second like major shutdown, and I was able to sneak in 2 sets the Friday night. Everything was shut down, you know, it was shutting down at Friday at midnight or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I snuck in a couple of sets at the House of Comedy in the mall, and they were packed. There were like 100 people, which at the mall, like I know it sounds like 100 people in one room. The mall is fucking huge. That room, that comedy room is enormous. Yeah. They were all spread out. It was like I feel the safest place to do comedy in the city. So I snuck in 2 sets that night. I did one on the early show, one on the late show, and they both went really well, and it was really fun. And now I'm at that spot where I'm like, now, you know, 2 weeks later, and I'm like, fuck, like it sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And just not knowing when it's going to come back, you know, it hopefully will at some point,
I think
but
it will.
it's just so hard. You
Well,
know?
eventually everyone's just going to get it. And then eventually that vaccine's going to come out. And if people decide to get it, they get it. If they don't, that's okay. I mean, people make choices what they want for their bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time I did stand up, I was gonna do the Sisyphus contest, but we just had
Something
way too much
happened.
going on.
Yeah.
Work was crazy. We were about to
Yeah.
move, so
Oh,
I
that's
went
right.
to Keller that one night
Yeah, I saw you
to
there.
test out my set, and even that, I still kind of felt like I had gotten away with something.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
guys are
rather
so
than like
naughty.
having a normal set, I was like, ooh, I can't believe I got out of there alive. Like it was just so fucking weird.
Well, what's so funny is like last spring I had just started like taking a few gigs where I was headlining. You know, I wasn't like headlining a club or anything like that, but these little bar shows, people would call me and be like, "Hey, can you put together a show? And you know, here's your budget. You can have however many comics you have. You know, like whatever you want to do." So what I would do is I would bring usually one other person with me and have them do like 30, and then I would go do around an hour. And I had just started, you know, being able to do an hour. I was stretching it with crowd work and stuff like that. But then when like everything shut down and we came back, and I'm like, now none of these jokes, like I don't feel like I want to go out there and be like, "Oh, fucking dick jokes," you know, like the world has changed because not only is everything shut down from COVID, but then we had all the fucking protests.
Yeah.
And like it just didn't feel right to be on stage and be like, "Whoa, you know, look at this fucking water squirting flower," you know, like it's just dumb bullshit.
Yeah.
So I've started just kind of talking to more people. I did one set at Sisyphus where I did a half an hour where I just basically talked to everybody in the crowd and asked them what they would do if we formed a Civil War like squadron, like an army squadron, like with them. You know, I had this guy over here, he was like our tech guy because he worked in IT, you know. And then this guy over here was like the muscle because he was like a mechanic, you know. And like and it just,
I love crowd work.
it was
love
so
listening
fun.
to crowd work.
It was so fun. And now that's like basically what I've just been doing.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the written dumb material, like, "Oh man, you know, I hate traffic." It's like, fuck off with this. Like, just connect with other people.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think people they're now want to feel more connected because we're so disconnected for so long. Yeah.
Well, in the Midwest, it's so much more rough because we already don't get to see each other as much once it gets cold anyways.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
right.
It may be like a stereotype or whatever, but yeah, people really do hunker down. So like the open mics were a point where we would be like, "Oh fuck, it's good to see you."
You can socialize. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's not like when we can organize like, let's all go to the beach this weekend, like have all the comics meet up and shit like that. Like
Comics meet at the beach, beaching on the comics.
well, just you know,
no, I know.
random activities.
Trying to,
You know, oh wait, beaching on the common?
I don't know.
You know, it's funny. We're just gonna try to move past whatever just happened.
I don't know what just happened. I think I had a mini stroke for a second.
It's funny how people
It's insensitive. We have a genuine stroke victim.
a
here.
genuine
You know what's
stroke
funny?
victim.
Is when Chris, I thought I heard you in the background, but when Chris was like, "Do you have anything bad to say?" I wanted to say his cerebral palsy wasn't real, and I'm like, "Shit, that's not what it was. It was Bill's palsy."
That's not what it was at all. So you're right. I did fake cerebral palsy for quite some
It
time.
took me like 5 minutes to remember I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't say that. There you go, another example where I don't know words.
Oh, words.
No,
Words are hard.
You know, palsy, whatever. Who
Yeah.
cares?
One palsy, the another palsy.
You got one kind of diabetes, you got the other. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Where were you going?
Yeah, what was I trying to?
I can't
I was going to ask you.
Oh, I had a thing I was gonna say about
please.
one of the moments I realized it's better to just talk to people and connect with the audience for real.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, I had started transitioning. I was at the Mall of America in like the end of September, and I went to transition into just a written dumb joke. and there was a table of black women who were sitting like, it's relevant, don't worry. And they like, I was like, oh, you know, I've had a rough summer. And one of them just goes, you have. And I'm like, fuck, you're right, you know. And then like I was just like, god damn it, you know. And it was so fucking funny. Like, it was all very lighthearted and stuff, but we connected in that moment, you know. And the funny thing is like I brought it back around by saying, I was like, you know, but the nice thing is we're all here together, you know, like we're all here having a good time together and laughing. And like, honestly, one of the things that makes me the happiest in life is making people laugh. And so, you know, as much as has been taken away from us lately, I still feel like making people laugh makes me feel happy. Until about a week ago, I was kind of seeing a woman, and I went to kiss her goodbye, and she couldn't kiss me because she was having a case of the giggles, she said. And then on the drive home, she called me and broke up with me. So now even making people laugh makes me feel hurt. Like, it was so fucking funny because that was 100% real. That legitimately happened.
What?
I was like,
I've got a case of the giggles.
It was so funny. Like, it was.
Do you think she was laughing about how she was going to break up with you?
I fucking hope so. Oh my
She's
god.
probably laughing about what song she was going to listen to before she called to break up
Right?
with
Yeah,
you.
to fire herself up.
Yeah.
No, it was like, you know, like, truthfully, I wish it was one of those things, but it was truthfully one of those things where it was just kind of an awkward situation. Like, she wasn't able to like tell me she wasn't quite into it. You know, we were like watching a movie or whatever, and like, you know, like holding hands, but she, like, her hand was like somehow cold, and you know, and I was like, oh, she's just not really into this anymore. So like, when I was leaving, I like went to like hug her, and then like we had been, you know, together for like a couple of weeks at that point, so it wasn't like I wasn't like taking a chance to kiss her goodbye, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So then I leaned down and she kind of like turned away and was like laughing. She's like, I'm sorry. I can't stop giggling right now. And I was like, okay. And, you know, and then I was like, all right, well, you know,
You were like, that's really sad.
I was like, this is weird. You can't stop giggling for like that long, you know, like, come on. Like,
especially after watching The Green Mile. I mean, that's rough.
yeah.
Nice. Look at you.
Excellent work.
Thanks.
Way better
Had
than
a
that.
lot of time to think on my drive.
Way better than that beach thing. So yeah, that was just real. She like called me on the way home. She's like, "No, you're right. I didn't."
See, I've been trying to break up with Chris for 15 years.
Yeah, I can
rough.
tell. I can tell.
We're coming up on 15 years in a couple days.
In a couple of days? Holy shit!
Dating for 15 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Our big fuck you to the Japanese was we started dating on the day of Pearl Harbor.
A true American hero. Just one of you is a true American hero.
Dirty nightclub makeout session. We're like, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Pearl Harbor today. Do you say you want me to be your girlfriend? Yes.
It's Pearl Harbor.
And then he wrote me a poem.
You wrote a poem?
Yeah.
That's so fucking awesome.
That's how I used to get chicks.
I used to. No, here's the thing. Is I used to do it too. Don't fucking eyebrow raise me. For the listeners at home, Chris is doing weird stuff with his face that is really just taunting me because I can't.
That's really, I was just flexing on you.
I used to write poems all the time.
Yeah?
Like in high school, I dated this woman in high school for like most of our high school years, and I would write her like these poems that were bad. They were so bad, but like as like a 16-year-old, I was like, she loves this. Like they're like now I write. I think I've written one for like a woman like 3 years ago, and I know it's bad. Like I know it's bad, but it's funny bad.
Okay.
Whereas like back then, I was like, this is serious, and like
she's
into
gonna marry
it.
me someday because she's gonna love this.
She would. To be fair, she would say she loved them, you know, and I do think she genuinely liked them.
Yeah.
But like looking back, it's like, oh my god, what were you thinking, you know? But so poems.
I used to
poems
be
are good.
really good at it. Like when I was in school, like writing in general.
Sorry, the poem you wrote me was about dancing dirty at a nightclub.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yours was not great. I will
If you
admit
could
that.
see the face that she made when you were like, I used to be really good. Oh my god, her eyes came out the back of her head.
This was pre MySpace days.
Okay.
pre-MySpace. I was so good at writing that one of my stories got selected, and I got to go
that's
perform it at a college. So
Beautiful.
fucking take that, Kim Duke.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Kim
this-
Duke's wrong now.
Did you sign it at the end with CHD in bubble letters with little angel
yeah, with the wings on it.
So stupid.
I used to be called Good Chris in our skate crew
Oh,
because I was a believer and I went to youth group and stuff.
I like
and
the
there was-
idea that there wasn't a bad Chris. That's just
There
how
was a bad
good-
Chris.
That's how good you were.
and he was a ex-meth addict, and
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you really shit on him. That's
Yeah,
who
yeah,
needs
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's who you got to really tear down.
I didn't pick the moniker. It was chosen for me.
Someone chose the angel wings for you.
Well, they just started calling me Good Chris, and I was like, they all had like, it's so stupid. They had like tags, you know how like they would bring like
Sure.
a marker and do their little like graffiti tag. It's fucking
You
stupid.
signed your love
and I
poem
was
with
like,
the graffiti
well, I
tag.
mean,
So his graffiti was a CHD in bubble letters with little angel wings on the C and the D.
yeah, I'll insert an image right.
Yeah, you probably haven't drew
Here.
that for a long time.
It's such a bad drawing that it would not be hard to recreate.
Amazing. I mean, you could do it right now.
Very poor.
One of your children is accidentally drawing it on the on the wall out
yeah,
there
right out
now.
there with permanent markers.
Just
Speaking
closing
of
their eyes.
poems, Layla.
She wrote me some beautiful poems. Yeah, she took
Aw.
care of me when I was like concerned I could maybe have COVID. I just overthought things in my head, but I was fine. I
happens.
just really wanted to spend a day in bed and no one bug me, and it worked.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And Layla wrote me a bunch of poems. She was like good. She's a good writer.
Yeah.
And Landon's a really good like visual writer. Like he puts you in the
Oh,
moment.
that's so
like
awesome.
back in the day, like third grade, he was
And
writing
they
these.
get that from me.
Yeah, not me because I had no words.
No,
She didn't know that gas was short for gasoline.
Oh my God.
I was 17 when I found out. Me and a guy I was dating, we went to put gas in a four-wheeler because we were four-wheeling.
I
and
love this.
I'm like,
I think I know exactly where it's heading, and I'm so excited.
it was in some podunk town, and he goes, it's a gasoline, and he's putting it in. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't put that in there. It's going to explode. And he goes, what do you think gas is short for? And I was dumb. I had like a Jessica Simpson like 3 years where I would just say, and I was just like,
Incredible.
oh, and then it was
Incredible.
always that.
So
You're
good.
gonna blow us up. You can't put gasoline in there. I was freaking out. I thought I was gonna die.
Awesome.
Oh gosh.
I mean, to be fair,
can't believe-
that's why you put gasoline in cars, is so it explodes.
it
like
needs
quite
to
literally.
ignite, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, little mini explosions.
Oh, that's-
It's like Chris
Gasoline.
has in his pants every day.
Told you we'd get to fart jokes. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. It always goes back to fart jokes
Every time.
every time.
Every time. Farts will never not be funny to me. I just have a real passion for it.
Somebody I was hanging out with said juicy toot instead of shart the other day, and it made me laugh. It made me laugh.
It makes
so
me think
hard.
of little juicy candies you buy at the store.
Or the gum
Yeah.
when you chew on someone's wet fart. What? Yeah.
Gross. I don't know what kind of relationships you've been having. Obviously,
you
giving
know.
people the giggles.
Yeah, of course. Can't stop laughing. Oh, the dogs are trying to enter.
That's fine.
Son
Now the
of
door's
bitches.
actually shut.
You ever?
Should we do snacks? Because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, you have snacks. See, this is the
This
thing.
is-
Like Chris hates things being chewed into the microphone.
But I,
I know.
edited it out.
So
Oh, fair.
my only option where I was at was Walgreens.
Okay.
So we have organic Skittles.
Ew.
Well,
Oh, appropriately called.
organic Giggles. That's really. Well, I think we gotta eat that.
You have a case of the giggles.
Yeah. Or Roca Bites. They're almond Roca butter crunch bites with California almonds.
That just sounds good.
Yeah. Those are the only two I'm like, well,
We have to go with the giggles, right?
I think so.
It's up
Because
to
of the
you,
whole
man.
Giggle story. Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
got to be the giggle
They
story.
are gluten-free, vegan, allergy-friendly. Oh, you can save these for Mara.
Oh, so we're just chewing
Nice.
on plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
What's the first ingredient?
Organic cane sugar, organic rice syrup, organic palm oil. So everything's just organic.
Oh, so it's like actually food. I
What type
guess.
of palm oil
okay.
is not organic?
Malic acid, and then it has radish, carrot, sweet potato, black currant for color. I
Are
don't
they all
think-
the same flavor?
Nope. There's green apple, lemon, orange, strawberry, and grape.
Oh, so it's legitimately the same.
So this is like the little LaCroix of Skittles.
That's funny. That's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Speaking of LaCroix, you know what I've been really big into lately is these White Claws.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know. I know.
Oh man.
I know the situation I'm bringing up when I talk about this. But I've had, I've been doing my own podcast, and then if I'm not feeling that great, if I'm feeling kind of cranky or whatever, I'll have like a little White Claw, and loosen up.
Wait, you're supposed to smell
Oh,
them.
fuck.
You fucked up snacks.
I can't believe you fucked up my own podcast, Chris. You have to do round 2.
Yeah, you gotta do.
You gotta smell it. It doesn't smell like anything, to be fair.
I can't smell it either.
That's kind of what I figured.
You know, interesting. None of us in this room can smell or taste. Oh, you know what it tastes like? It tastes like those candies you get out of like a quarter machine at like a fucking VFW.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It's like
I've been sitting there for
That is
years.
exactly what they taste like.
You got a hint of like little cigarette taste in the back of it.
Yeah, because it's an old cigarette machine.
These candies taste like they have PTSD.
They do. They're not even round. Interesting. They're like.
Do you hear me when I chew? Since these mics.
I don't mind them.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to be upset about them.
It doesn't taste like a Skittle,
No.
but they're not bad.
I had all orange and yellow.
Last time I was here, you guys made me eat a cricket, so.
That's right.
Yeah, I gotta try it red now. I gotta try the strawberry one. It actually tastes like strawberry.
I put a lot in my mouth, so you two are gonna have to carry this podcast for a little bit.
It's like those what are they called? Smarts? Those big candies.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's that.
These taste like the chewy version of those.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it green apple?
It's white.
Yeah.
All the radish color wore off already.
That's funny.
You know what's interesting? I'll just dump water all over your floor.
It's okay.
Is I've been working at this discount store, and
Do you get a discount at the discount
I do.
store?
I get a discount.
Fucking better.
I get a double discount.
Double
The
D.
hilarious thing is, people like don't expect me to be funny. So when I say the dumbest shit, these fucking old middle-aged housewives lose their minds when I say like
people you work with?
or customers, like either one.
Now I'm curious where you work. We'll talk after.
No, we won't. I'm fucking busy, all right? But like people like cuz I'm used to being in front of people who expect me to be funny.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I have to say a smart
You have to
joke.
be on all the
yeah,
time.
I have to I have to say something like, well, like smart joke is a stretch for what I do on stage, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I'm like, oh, I have to be at least a little bit clever or something with my take on this.
Yeah.
Whereas like at the store, if I see a woman or a man, to be fair, if I see a person the same time twice in a week, they're like, oh, it's me again, you know, and they like, you know, like Tommy Bayer has that little joke where he worked at like a bakery and like women would order like 2 treats. They're like, oh, give me a little second one. Like they're being naughty, you know? That's exactly, I think of that so much because they're like, oh, it's me again, you know? And then so after the transaction, I'm like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Just the dumbest fucking joke.
But they
and
lose
they
it.
lose
That's
their mind.
really
They're like,
funny.
oh, you will. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so, or like, people will buy like kids clothes, you know, like,
Yeah.
like a dude the other day was buying, he was like an older guy, like probably 50 or so, you know, and he was buying like a toddler outfit for a young girl, like a 2 or 3 year old girl. I was like, oh, this is gonna look great on you. And he fucking loses it, you know. Which, to be fair, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's
You know?
That is pretty fun. And it's a little risque because some 50-year-old, like, women's clothing. I would never wear.
Yeah,
What do you think?
exactly. Like I wouldn't say that if he was buying something that could potentially fit him, you know.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like because it was like a tiny.
What kind of hat was he wearing? Because
You know
there's
what's-
certain red hats you can't say that kind of stuff
That's
too.
the actual thing. Is I wasn't going to mention this, but now that you ask, legitimately his mask had the fucking American flag with the blue line on it. That's why I fucked with him.
That's funny. Good
Because I
for
was
you.
like,
Love
you
it.
fucking asshole. And then I was like, yeah, you're going to go wear this little pink unicorn hoodie, aren't you, you little idiot?
Yeah. Also, I'm so sick of like the notoriety for like you're not brave for saying you support the police.
No.
Big fucking deal, dude.
No, who
Like,
cares?
yeah, people sometimes the cops help out. Great. Thanks for pointing that out. This thing that we all already fucking knew.
What? Where's the nurse masks?
Now, now I realize. Yeah. I mean, nurses, like are doing so much right now. Like,
Not
but-
me, but other nurses.
yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, I meant other nurses.
yeah. Because I'm on this fucking podcast with you instead of saving lives.
You're saving my life right now. Okay.
Dude, it would be hilarious to put up stats for like every minute that Kim podcasts. Somebody dies of
Mesothelioma.
mesothelioma.
You said it. Yes. You just had to not
Word.
think. You
I didn't
just
have
had
to
to
think,
go
I just
for
had to
it.
let it come
Oh,
out.
beautiful. No, that was amazing. Like I was having a legitimate, like, honest discussion with somebody who does like blindly support the police, and I was, we were having a discussion about it, and I genuinely tried to think of a time in my life where a cop helped me out, and I couldn't. And I'm not saying that like every cop, no matter what, is a complete fucking racist asshole, because that's not true.
Yeah,
There's no black or white in anything in
Yeah.
life, you know.
Yep.
But a lot of them are pretty bad, and they abuse their power and things like that. And they're like, I could not think of a time in my life where I was like, I'm glad that cop was here.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know,
I can think of a time.
Every
see, and
I came out of my dad's balls, and he's a retired officer, so he helped me out. He produced me. No, that doesn't work.
it's a bit of a stretch. I think.
That is stretching.
every positive experience that I have, there's two negative ones.
it's like
okay.
one,
Like for
one
me.
step forward, two steps back.
Yep,
kind of
yep,
thing.
yep,
And, and I mean, like, like I've had positive experience, like one, I
When they
see
give you the
one-
sticker at the parade.
Sure. Yeah, you have like a little interaction, you joke around a little,
Yeah.
but like a time where I've needed help, like two specific times I'm thinking of. One was driving in the winter and it was very snowy and I got stuck literally in the middle of the road, right? And I, for whatever reason, was like a 17-year-old idiot kid, didn't have a jacket. I was out there in a t-shirt, lying on my belly, scooping snow out from underneath my car. Cop slowly drives by, looks at me, and just keeps going.
Wow.
Just kept
what
going.
What the hell?
Another time was I was in my mid-20s and I got into a car accident where a person ran a red light and just T-boned me and spun me out in an intersection. And I like pulled off to the side. My car was like leaking, like very fresh accident. There was plastic everywhere, all that shit. Cop drove right by, didn't do a single thing. And these cops were not in a hurry. They didn't have
They had their lights on, nothing.
They didn't have it. They were just, cruising around. And to be fair, I can't say for sure they weren't in a hurry. Maybe they had somewhere they were supposed to be going, but like
They like really had to poop or something.
yeah, like two glaring examples where I could have used immediate support from a police officer.
My take on law enforcement is they need to be educated further, and they need to be educated a lot in mental health.
We need different types of police officers. We expect way too much.
Well, think about it. We have so many different doctors. You have a neurologist, you have a gastroenterologist, you have a psychiatrist, but we have like law enforcement. They go, you just do this.
That just actually made me think of a time where I wasn't glad the cops were there, but when I was living in Denver, there was a time when I was taken to the hospital for mental health reasons by police officers, and the person who called them also worked in the mental health area, so she knew that you can ask for that sort of thing. There are certain police who have been trained
Wow.
in Denver, at least,
Yeah.
in the precinct where I was, that they would send they're uniformed cops. They have the guns. They have all
yeah.
the stuff. They look like real cops. They are real cops. But they also approached me in my own apartment very softly, very gently.
So they must have like extensive like crisis training.
They were
Wow.
trained in mental health crisis because I mean, that was like my attempt. I was ready to go. I had letters. I had like everything ready, and they intervened. And it was not like kick the door down, get on the ground. It was very. Like I said, I was not happy they were there, but they were helpful towards me. So.
And I think Minnesota just there's not any, and I shouldn't say there's not any, but like I did a project to get my whatever degree, and I had to talk with law enforcement. I went to this community thing where there's law enforcement there, and I'm like, this is a perfect time to corner them. I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions like they're training. Oh yeah, once a year we have to do some education. It's like,
to be
okay,
fair,
once a year I have to do like sexual harassment training, and I understand that, but like do you do extensive training? No.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when Chris attempted that one time, they came to the house and he was sitting on the stairs. He was just in the garage and all that happened. And the law enforcement officer was like right in front of Chris. And I don't know if you remember this because you were kind of not like, you were still kind of out of it. And he's like, you'd have to sit in your garage for a very long time for that to actually kill you. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? Like you just said that in front of someone who just attempted suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is, I was just so like hard. Baffled.
And that's the thing is like, if they're just educated a little bit about it, I think it could be more helpful because the cop that did end up driving me to the hospital was very nice, and we had a little conversation in the car on the way to the hospital that wasn't about mental health. It wasn't about anything that was going on. He was able to just chat about something, which was, it was comforting and it was welcoming. And I feel like if more police approached those situations where you have somebody freaking out in the street or something like that, like you can kind of tell when people are getting dangerous, And a lot of times they're really not, but like, just to approach it with compassion instead of like guns drawn. I'm going to taser this person or whatever.
Well, I mean, so there's, I keep forgetting which country it is, but they, instead of like having broadband police, they have very specific. So there's more like EMT style police. There's ones that work almost solely in traffic. So like it's, so you have like, which they like in the U.S. they should like this precinct is for guys that were bullied in high school, and then this precinct is for those that care about mental health. And
I get where you're going. That's funny. I went to high school, so that became possible. You're like, you're bullied, and you want to be a dick now. There's one I can think of in the area where I work, and you can tell he was just bullied, and he's got short man syndrome, and he's a cop, and he's not very kind to our mental health people, and I cannot. Mm-hmm. Deal with him.
And it's so hard, it's so hard to like even talk about this right now, because I don't fucking know how to make it better. Like
I don't either. I do like the education and having the separate things but
some people it's not going to matter. They're gonna fuck off in that education thing true. Anyway. I don't know if we were recording when I said this earlier, but like some of the things that they would have us do in like group therapy was like, okay, like now I want you guys to journal about your feelings. And like if somebody tells me to journal about my feelings, it's not going to affect me in any way. Whereas like some days I'll wake up and I'm like, I want to write and get this stuff out of my head, and it helps. Yeah. But like if it's like homework, it's not going to do anything for me. Yeah. And so that's how a lot of maybe not a lot, that's how some cops will approach that education thing, and that's where it needs to be looked at as like, okay, well, who's actually retaining this information, who's practicing this sort of thing. And then sure, if those people don't want to be sensitive towards mental health issues, then send them when there's a fucking robbery with an armed robbery, they want to do that somebody's kind of violent stuff. If they want to go to war, send them to fucking war. Don't send those people to the guy freaking out in the
Yeah.
middle of the intersection.
It's hard, but I feel like that's with a lot of occupations because, like, even in the emergency room, you can tell the nurses that want to work with mental health people, and then there's the ones where, like, no, we want to see the people coming in with gunshot wounds, this and that. We want the traumas. Like, that's why we became emergency room personnel, is we want those traumas. And then you come in, you have these people coming in with anxiety and depression, mental health. You're like, I get you're in a crisis, but the guy over there, his arm just got chopped off. It's like, but all these people need equal amounts of care and then equal amount of attention as the guy without his arm.
Even the EMT. So the last suicide attempt that I had, the person that was in the back of the ambulance with me, I'm just an extroverted person, so I ask, even in the most extreme scenarios, I'm still gonna like ask questions and try to make it as less awkward as possible. And I could just tell that like something was off with this lady, and I was like, something bothering you? And she was like, I just don't really get why people, it's very selfish to attempt to take your own life.
Oh, awesome.
And I was like, And I just sat in it and was like, because it seemed like it was coming from a place of like personal experience.
Sure.
To where maybe it was a friend or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope that you know, if you have experienced this in your life, like the person who is doing this, they think that they're doing it for your benefit. They, like, most of the time, there are some who it's just too much. Like it's, and everybody's reality and threshold is completely different. I talked about how when I was in treatment, there was a guy who his rock bottom was realizing that he wasn't spending as much time with his family. And my rock bottom is completely fucking different.
Yeah.
Like, but it doesn't matter. Like, whatever brings you to this point to where you feel like I just can't do it anymore.
Right.
That's the only thing that matters. So like, but yeah, a lot of times people think that they are alleviating, whether it's their own pain or the pain that they're inflicting on others.
Right.
So it's most of the time. I mean, who was it? Fucking Aaron Hernandez that offed himself because he was
About to stand trial or something.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, if the woman in the ambulance, I wonder if there's a little bit of like narcissism in her where it's like she can't quite understand how somebody else would do that because they don't understand. She
hasn't been to that.
Don't they realize how it's affecting me type thing?
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's got to be frustrating because she wants to go out and save people's lives who want to live.
Right.
Like to have to come and deal with somebody like me who was trying to end it. Like, I'm sure that's super frustrating too.
Yeah. And like the bottom that I hit this summer, I think it wasn't quite as bad as when I was in Denver, which was like in 2013. But
I wanted to bring this up earlier when we talked about that John Cleese thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, by all means.
Keenan had called me when I was like in just acting a little differently. Like
sure.
Before I had like officially quit all of this stuff.
Sure.
There were hints that something was off. He called me and he was like, "Hey man, I know this sounds like you're in danger right now."
Right.
And to me, I was like, had zero thoughts of it.
Sometimes it's just a vibe, yeah.
And so there are people who outwardly are like, oh, they don't see how close to the edge they are right now. So I wonder if the person that you had mentioned before,
I think it was something similar because I think probably, I forget, a while ago I was hanging out with a comic. We went to an open mic. I dropped him off at his house, and it was not out of character for him to say this when I would like drop him off, but I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna run home and do this or whatever. I just told him, like, I'll see you later, I'm gonna do this. And he gets out of my car, and right before he shuts the door, he's like, cool, I'm gonna go kill myself, which is something he's joked about. I've joked about. A lot of comics joke about that sort of thing, and it's like usually a fleeting thing. But as I was driving away, I was like, that had a different tone to it today. So I like immediately like called him and was like, hey man, just to make sure you were joking on that. He's like, oh yeah, it was a total joke, you know. And like I talked enough to where I felt like he was safe.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is just that extra little vibe to it where it's like, that might not have been as much of a joke as he thought it was.
Yeah.
And thankfully it was just an innocent little joke. And I think maybe I was probably a little stoned and like got in my own head about it.
But it's good you were being cautious though. I'm sure he felt comfortable. Like, okay, cool, we can have this conversation.
That was the thing, is I was like, what if I don't say anything and it was real?
Yeah.
You know, I would much rather feel a little bit uncomfortable and still have my friend.
Yeah.
Versus,
Well, and I try to say this as much as I can when it comes to suicide, because people are still like on the fence. My own brother, like a month ago, still, even at that point, didn't understand why I had tried to take my own life.
Sure.
And he had that viewpoint of like, it's a selfish thing. And it's like, you don't get mad at a cancer patient for eventually dying of cancer.
Exactly.
People with severe mental health issues, it's no different.
Right.
Unfortunately, suicide is a side effect or something that can take us the same way that somebody who's susceptible to cancer or diabetes, like there are life-altering consequences to this disease that we have, or to these issues that we have.
It's funny that you say it's a side effect, because my attempt in Denver was a legitimate side effect of the medication they were trying. Because it, as you know, I was at the rock bottom. I was very depressed. I did have suicidal ideas and stuff like that. But the medication they put me on
Exacerbated.
I should
Exacerbates.
masturbates it.
I was gonna say. So you're masturbating on this medication.
I'm just actually, the funny thing is,
It
also made me so I couldn't come. That was another side effect, which was mind blowing.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. It was so fucking crazy, because like I would be having sex with the woman I was like dating out there, and it was just, it would get so close and then it would just go away. It was so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then the other like more serious side effect is it shut off the thing in my brain that says don't kill yourself. So for me, my suicide attempt in Denver wasn't, I'm so low right now that I don't want to be here anymore. It was, you know, obviously there's some of that in there. Obviously it's coming from somewhere, but I woke up that day and in my head I was like, this is the day I'm going to do it. Like I was going to go to the store. Like I remember getting dressed and I was like, yeah, this is what I can wear. I'll look okay. You know, this is what I'm going to wear. And then I was like writing the letters and everything. And I'm like, this is a chore. This is something that I just have to do right now. And then thankfully, the person I was on the phone with helped me out so much. You know, they could tell that it was real, and the way
So did you call a crisis line, or?
I called a woman that I was like dating out there.
And she was working in mental health.
She was working in mental health. Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
She was I forget, like a case manager or something. Okay, so not like necessarily like a therapist or a psychiatrist or anything, but somebody who had experience dealing with people in tough situations.
Sure, yeah.
And she was so fucking good at this. She had me on the phone while she was directing somebody that she was with, writing down my address, giving them all the information, and had them call the police, so that she kept me on the phone and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was in the bathroom, like about to, you know, like start the process. I had a bunch of pills and I had a bunch of booze that I was just going to hammer down and just go for it. And there's a knock on my door and I'm like, who the fuck is at my door right now? You know? And so like, because I didn't have any friends out there, nobody that would just drop by unannounced. Sure. So I go open the door and it's those two cops who actually turned out to be very compassionate and very helpful.
Yeah.
But like it blew my mind that she was able to do all of that while dealing with me in a crisis. And it was just like, I'm so thankful for that. And we don't talk anymore. You know, she still lives out there. Maybe, I don't know. It's been so long, you know, but like I don't think she realizes how much she like legitimately like saved my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
back then. And it's so insane to me that all of that was able to happen. And then the worst part is the fact that it happened because I was trying to get help with medication. And like, that's why I'm kind of against meds right now. Not for anybody else, just for me. Like, a lot of people are like, well, maybe you could try meds. You know, the group therapy was like, and are you taking your medication? That was one of the things they asked me every day.
Yeah.
Is like,
But if you learned how to manage your mental health without it, and you've kind of, I mean, you probably know when you get to a point when you're like, oh crap, I might need it again. You know what to do. But if you've learned how to manage it,
so like the struggle is the time frame, the window of, is this going to work or is it not going to work?
with medications,
Can
Oh my
vary
God.
so much.
Yeah. Well, because it takes so long to build up that therapeutic level in your system.
So that's why, like, and I completely hear you. There are people, when they say I'm against meds, like, for them personally, I'm like, I think it's because you feel like someone is enforcing medication on you.
yeah.
And that's a totally different thing. But like that, it's that man, I'm insanely lucky, like the situation that I'm in, the family that I have, the incredible partner that I have, and that I'm able to like have this grace period of figuring this shit out, because it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And meds with me, I'm so hypersensitive to medication that like every one I've tried just messes me up, like in a like bad side effects. I've stayed on them long enough, I don't do well. So I've just had to learn to manage like my depression. Like, okay, I can feel like it's getting bad. What can I do? Like, what do I normally do when I feel like it's getting bad? Or my anxiety. Well, when we were selling the house, it got really bad and I needed a little extra something. But I obviously, it's like, but other medications, it's like, I just don't do well on them. Obviously, I've never gotten to that point with the suicidal ideations, but definitely I've gotten to like just so sick and headaches and all those awful, where it's like, I don't think, and I'll hold out.
And I'm just like a little bit afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be in that place again. Like,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, and if they're, I don't like, I'm not going to say I'll never try them again.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not how my brain works. I'm not a like all or nothing type of person in that sort
But
of way.
if you're in a stable,
right. And where I feel like I am right now is
Yeah.
I'm not done trying to fight it on my own.
Yeah.
Like there will probably,
but you're using other things, like you've used therapy
Sure.
and other alternative.
Yeah, I'm doing very many other things. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's the other thing I was going to say. Like, okay, I'm not going to take medications. That shouldn't be the end of the discussion. So, like, if you're somebody who has said,
Right.
I'm not going to take meds because I'm not truly myself when I'm on medication, shit like that, fine. Then you have to do work, on top of that.
That's
you
what it
can't
is,
just fucking...
Yeah. You can't go to a therapist like twice and then come back to like your family or your friends and be like, "Yep, they said I'm clear.
good to go.
I'm
Cleared."
I'm good. Yep,
Yeah.
we're healthy." You know, it's it's not.
But that's like even with like, let's talk about, we can go back to diabetes too. Like, you know, you're pre-diabetic. It's like, okay, you might have to take metformin or some medication, or you can start eating healthier. Like therapy is like the eating healthier, where, you know, like you still have to do these other things so you don't have to do these things. And maybe you eventually need to take the medication someday, but let's stay here, like in the therapy, eating healthier, less carbs, running 5 miles a day.
Yeah.
Eating
well,
Taco
5
Bell
miles a day is a stretch.
I know that was a stretch day. Let's go. You were talking about rock bottom this summer though. Like we said that, and then we went way over here, and then
I mean that's how this is.
Yeah, we actually haven't gotten to. We've talked about everything around it, but what the actual root was.
I just wanted to touch it so bad. It's been
What was wrong with it?
nothing. It's just so fluffy.
just a lot?
I'm sorry.
I just assume that's how you look these days because I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah,
but,
it's like that.
Okay, yeah. No, for the listeners at home, Chris's beard is very like
It's bushy,
poofy today, and again, just doing the eyebrows at me is just so
He
cocky.
needs a couple of those tweezed.
You gotta tweeze those brows, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of them just stick out and they don't go back down.
Yeah.
Shave them off, all of them.
Okay.
Anyway, rock bottom is the thing I was struggling with this summer was the fact that, you know, I as much as I don't like to say it about myself, is like I work hard at comedy. I work really fucking hard. And, you know, like I'm about to be doing it for 6 years. Like this month is my 6th year, you know, well, 5 in a COVID year. So
is it on,
I like a COVID.
is your 6-year anniversary on Pearl Harbor Day?
it is not. No,
Oh.
I did not try to stick it to
Stick it to the-
to the World War II Japanese
what's the
forces
day?
by doing comedy. It was, I think it was the 22nd or 23rd of December.
Okay.
Um,
Not the 19th, but okay.
no, this is not.
That's my birthday. Okay.
Oh, how fancy.
I know.
But it was, I felt like everything I had worked for was being taken away. And I wasn't sure if it was going to come back. I still, you know, like, honestly, I still don't know if it's going to come. Like, what I was doing to make the living I was making in comedy was a lot of shitty bar gigs in the middle of nowhere that just happened to pay enough for me for it to be worth it. And I worked so hard to be able to do that and not have a real job. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like I didn't make a lot of money by any means. I was very poor, but I didn't have to work. That was the thing.
Yeah,
Comedy is never work to me. A 7-hour drive is not work to me if I'm going to do a show, unless it's for like $50. You got to make it. You know, you got to make it worth it.
You got to
But-
be worth more than your gas.
So I was afraid that, or I was kind of like realizing it's not going to be that way for a long time. And so picturing myself having to go back and getting some bullshit job, some like full-time working in a warehouse thing, because like I don't have other skills. Like that's the thing, is like I can like do a spreadsheet or whatever, but like I've never worked, like I've worked in metal shops and shit, you know. And just imagining myself having to go back and do that and basically work as hard as I did to get where I am again, to have to go back and do that again, I don't know if I had it in me. And that was the thing, is like I don't want this life anymore. I don't want the life of working in a shop. I don't want waking up at 6 a.m. every day to go, like, you know, cut metal that I just don't really care about. You know, the thing is like,
Was it heavy metal?
it was very heavy constantly. I did listen to a lot of metal while cutting
That's
metal,
funny.
which is super fun.
That is.
But it was just so hard to see a future when, you know, like I said, I don't really like to say this about myself, but like I worked really fucking hard to get to where I am in comedy. And I don't know, I still to this day don't know if I had to do it again. If somebody was like, okay, you have to start over fresh again and do it all over, I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah.
So that's where I was when I was like at the bottom, was like, if I can't do comedy, like if I can't pick up where I left off, like reasonable amount of time, I don't want to be around anymore. Like it's not worth it to me. And that's where I was on the phone with my friend and was saying a few things that made them feel uncomfortable, and had me go into the hospital before they would hang up the phone with me, which, you know, like I said, I didn't feel like I was in danger, but if they did, I'm pretty good at listening to outside sources when I know I'm in a bad spot and need some help. So that's where I was. It was just, you know, I don't want a life without comedy.
Yeah.
That's what it's boiled down to. And to have that taken away was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of scary right now.
Yeah.
Have you thought about moving to Texas?
No.
And I'm not even joking. Like the scene in Austin, apparently, like they're all doing whatever they can to make sure that comedy continues. So it feels like the way that like LA and the Comedy Store used to be viewed.
Yeah.
It feels like that again, where like people I feel like are going to eventually migrate out that. Like Joe Rogan said that he's going to open up a club out there. Like he's very dedicated to. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
How would you do in the South?
I actually was in a couple hours outside of Dallas for a festival at the beginning of February last year.
I was gonna say, I thought you and Joe went, right?
Yeah, Joe and I went.
And you were fine.
I did really well.
Well, there you go.
Again, I hate saying good things about myself in comedy, but every once in a while there's an opportunity to, and I kind of like to slip it in a little bit. But
Yeah.
I was booked at that festival for 2 shows when I went down there, and I ended up doing 6 throughout
Holy
the rest of
shit.
the weekend. So they kept putting me on more and more things as they saw more of what I was doing on stage. So I think I was doing pretty well.
Not to toot your own home.
I fucking hate it. I hate it so much.
Oh fuck it, man! Like,
Yeah, fuck it, man.
Nobody would
Toot
want
your horn.
Nobody would want a wedding photographer who was just like, I'm okay.
I'll be on.
I mean, I know how to shoot the pictures.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a computer.
This is actually something I. That's funny. I've got a 1998 Dell laptop.
I was just gonna say Dell. That's funny.
That's what I have. Is I have an old Dell laptop.
look at that
I've
Dell over there.
Oh yeah, there's a Dell right there. Not Adele the singer, a Dell computer.
I was gonna say, where
But
She's lost the weight. She's hiding.
are we rolling in the deep right now?
oh god, that's
No?
that's a good song though. Actually,
It is a good song.
the thing I actually talk with my therapist about this almost every session.
Is Adele?
Yes, we start every session with a little karaoke version. we sing to each other and we hold hands, even over Zoom. We just touch the camera.
Yeah. But you feel like you're together. Yeah.
I struggle between being confident and cocky. I do not want to be cocky,
Yeah.
no
Chris
matter
does
what.
the same, confident, and cocky.
Like I do not like people who are cocky.
Yeah.
If there's ever a comic who says they never bomb, I immediately do not like them. I lose respect for them as a person.
Yeah.
And because everybody bombs. You're never going to be 100%. Like you can be great. You can crush 95% of the time.
But you're gonna bomb it at some point.
But you bomb every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so with that being something I dislike the most is cocky people. I struggle to even say nice things about myself because I don't want to be cocky.
Okay.
Whereas like yes, I acknowledge that I went down to that festival and got added to 4 more shows that I wasn't booked on. But I also am so hesitant to even say that because it's like, yeah, they put me on these other shows, you know.
But there are, I feel like I've even met in your guys' scene some that would be like, yeah, guess what? Yeah.
You know what drives me even more crazy is when somebody's super fucking cocky, but then they back it up. Oh my God, do I hate that so much. It fucking drives me crazy. It's like, God, I hate you because you're cocky as shit, but fuck, you're right. Like, God
and
damn
you're
it.
good, damn it.
Just about like anything, like a lot of like sports player, like a reason why I don't like to watch football is because people celebrate so much when they like gain 3 fucking yards, you know.
Yeah.
So like when people are like super fucking cocky and they make like an amazing catch and then they're like, fuck yeah, I'm great, I'm like, okay,
You get this one,
you're
buddy.
you're right, god damn it, you know. Like it drives me crazy. But it drives me nuts when they do that. Like,
Yeah.
But also you gotta respect them, you know.
Like to me, like I will be cocky in self-deprecation. Like if you're gonna be cocky, you gotta do it in a way that like lets people know that you're vulnerable. Like the type that you're talking about where like people are cocky is like they're bulletproof.
Yeah.
That drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But like I love doing like ironically cocky too.
Sure.
Like
The ironic cocks. Yeah.
ironic cock.
Oh, that's like a fun band name or
It's
something.
a really good high school band.
Ironic
name.
cocks.
It's more like
You know what is fun that I've been doing a little bit on stage? If I have like some riff or some crowd work that I think is funny, I will just straight up like say it and then laugh and be like, God damn it, I'm fucking great at this. Like I will just say that.
Dude, I love
Chris
doing that.
loves doing that.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Like
It is. It's like when I'll take a good photo, I'll be like, I'm so fucking good at
He
this.
does that, yeah. And then even sometimes he'll say something wrong, so he's like, "Oh, I'm so fucking funny," and I'm like,
because
because I'm trying not to laugh. Like,
God damn it. Yeah,
Don't let
yeah,
him
yeah.
see it.
That's the whole, he's being cocky, but he's backing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
exactly what it is.
It's good to be like, I can't think of a time when I've done that and not been like, but the next time could be fucking horrible.
Right.
Like,
and there's like I've never just walked on stage and been like, I'm fucking great at this. It's always like 3/4 of the way through my set, however long it is, I've established who I am as a person, as a comic, and then I say something, and most of the audience is on my side because I never bomb, and then like they're like, like I'll say something, I'll be like, God, I'm fucking good at this, and like it's already established that like I'm having a good time. I'm fucking around, stuff like that. I would never just get on stage. Like I've seen a few people where they're bombing and like, what is wrong with you people? Like I'm good at this.
Oh,
it's
and
like,
then you feel uncomfortable. I hate that because then I start feeling uncomfortable. Like, okay, now you're trying too hard, and I'm really not gonna laugh. Even if you say something funny, I'm probably not gonna laugh because I
also if you are blaming the crowd, I mean, more than 3 to 4 times a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you gotta switch your fucking game up.
It can be done. Like I've seen I've seen it be done where their whole set is shitting on the crowd, and it's so subtle, the differences between, like, it's such a fine line between being able to do that well and have people like kind of enjoy it. Like every once in a while I can see someone do it where they just hate the crowd and they just let them have it. Like I was at Sisyphus in like August, and I was supposed to do a half an hour, and I was coming up on a half an hour. I was like at like 29 minutes, and I was like, well, I don't have enough time to do the big closer I usually would do, So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do one dumb bullshit liner. I don't even remember what stupid joke of mine I said, but I said it and they hated it. They just like, I was doing really well for like the most of the set. And then like I said that and I was like, all right, this is what I'll get out of here on. They'll laugh big at this one. And it just fucking died. And in that moment, I was like, well, fuck. I was supposed to get out of here on this. But y'all fucking hated it. And then they loved that. They like laughed at that. I was like, I guess I'll like work overtime. And this is so funny that I remember this so well. It's because I'm sober right now. I'm not high at all. I was like, I guess I'll work overtime. And then the night before was the Wild had lost in overtime in the playoffs to end their season, like because they started the COVID season over in September or whatever. And the Wild lost. Not only did they lose in overtime to like end their season, but they lost fucking 11 seconds into overtime. Like it wasn't even worth resurfacing the ice,
Yeah.
And so I was like, I guess I'll work overtime, I guess. And the crowd was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, speaking of that, did anybody see that Wild game last night? And crickets in the crowd, like, I was like, wow, a bunch of fucking, you guys don't like hockey. Like, what the heck? Like, and then I was like, all right, what can we talk about? All right, well, you guys like weed? Crickets again. And then I fucking went off. Like something just snapped. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you idiots? Like this, I've been up here for half an hour. You love me. And now all of a sudden I ask you about hockey and weed. 2 things I care about the most in my goddamn life. And none of you even like it. And how do we even connect? I hate each and every one of you. I'm fucking leaving. And I threw the mic down and walked off the stage. And they loved it. They fucking went crazy. It was so fucking funny.
Really funny.
And it was so like fun because I spent that first like 28, 29 minutes establishing that I can laugh at myself. I can joke around with all of them. And then
so then they knew that you weren't seriously.
And then they knew that I was just fucking around. But like it was so fun to me to find that moment because in my head I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get off stage. Like, I don't want to leave on like a fucking, little like pitter out or whatever you said.
Yeah.
And like, I want to leave it good for the headliner.
Yeah.
And so I would like just to find that moment organically and then just have it like, because I felt the energy building as I was like yelling at them. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'm leaving right now. And I was like, fuck you all. And just left stage and somebody fucking high-fived me as I walked through the crowd.
That's really funny.
It was so fucking funny.
During COVID, they high-fived you?
Mm-hmm.
That's risky.
That's so funny. That's the first thing I thought too.
Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny watching movies and TV shows now where people are close together?
They
you're
like handshake.
What the fuck? And they're kissing. You're
Yeah.
like, whoa.
One of my favorite things that Alex does when he's on stage and he tells a joke that doesn't land. He'll go, "Oops."
Oopsies.
And it always gets a laugh.
Yeah.
Because the crowd's like, yeah, you fucked up on that.
That's
one.
funny.
Not a very good joke.
and that's just being self-aware of, you know, like, all right, well, you didn't like that one. All right, it happens. That's so fun.
I'm glad, like, when I was thinking, I was excited that when Kim's test results came back negative. Because I was
I'm not
so
pregnant.
excited for you to be back on because, I mean, I try so hard when other comics are on to, like, make it this funny thing and it has to be this hilarious thing. But, like, you're someone who can handle and appreciates, like, how important off stage is.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, I think people respect you, and
I don't know why.
and I think that it's good to know that, like, it's not all laughs,
Right.
and there are some really fucking important things.
But we can talk about important things and still laugh about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was so happy to be able to come back, you know, like I explained to you why I'm even like up in this area today, you know, like it's so funny, but we'll talk off the air. But like I was so glad to see your message and like be able to come back and do this one again, and like you know, I'll be around, so whenever we need to do it, because like I feel like a lot of this stuff is important to talk about, because I mean, even recently, I mean, we're just gonna be able to talk for another 10 hours after this. But
fine
like,
with me, man.
I recently watched a thing with Pete Davidson, very obvious, dealing with mental issues. But to see, he was on a podcast or a radio show or something sharing things about his mental health, and he brought up the fact that he is a cutter. And myself, when I was younger, I would also cut at some points, and I will say that even to this day, that is one part of my mental health that I am a little bit ashamed of. You know, I don't understand it completely. I just know that it would help in that moment, but I've always been a little bit ashamed of it. And to see Pete Davidson, who is, you know, on SNL, he's pretty famous.
Yeah.
To see him be so open about it makes me realize that we all should be. You know, it made me feel so much less alone, because that one little aspect, like, I'm very open about my depression. I'm very open about handling it.
But the self-harm
aspect.
'Cause I feel like it gets a bad...
Yeah. That's the...
Well, it's crazy that, so Whitney, she was on Tiger Belly.
Whitney's
recently.
here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Whitney. We'll give you a mic next time.
Yeah. You talk too much on
We'll
your
save
show.
this for the pros.
But she brought up this thing that I'd never heard of, which is emotional cutting. So, like, for people, if you can't wrap your head around why someone would physically do this thing, when you're sad and you put on a sad song to heighten your sadness or to, like, marry it with something, there are situations that people put themselves in. The emotional distress that you put on yourself, even though you know that you shouldn't. I mean, like, there's other things that you should be doing to better your situation, but you're putting that aside and saying, no, I want to be fucking sad right now. That's emotional cutting.
Chris says I'm an emotional cutter because even though I'm overwhelmed, I'll keep adding shit to my shit. And I'll keep, like, today, I go getting a phone activated when I had other shit I needed to do, and I was already very overwhelmed, but I'm like, no, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll bitch about it all night.
What's interesting is running that entire month with an injured foot.
Oh, yeah.
That's some self-harm.
It's 100% self-harm.
Yeah.
And like where I learned self-harm is when I was younger, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. I used to ride BMX bikes a lot. Like all my friends, you know, like we would ride around, and if I was having a bad day or if I was upset, I would try to do tricks that I knew I wouldn't have any chance at being able to do. I would go crash on purpose, and I understand it now, but I was not able to understand at the time that was me taking out my self-harm, which then, you know, was like leading right into eventually just blading myself, blading my chest and my ankles and my shoulders and stuff like that. And And so, I mean, now it's still something I struggle with, you know, pushing through the pain, you know, like, you know, we're all pretty much the same age where we were still like, well, Kim's much younger and prettier than all of us, but
Nice.
we were so like, we're like the back edge of that generation that's like, oh, you're not hurt.
Oh yeah.
You're not like, you're fine. Get the fuck over it. You know, like, and, you know, like I mentioned earlier, my favorite sport is hockey, where like they're glorified for not leaving the ice.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
I've seen a guy.
They lose all their teeth.
Yeah.
And they're still,
Yeah, they don't miss a shift. They spit their teeth into the trainer's hand. He puts them in a bag and they'll put them in later, you know, which to be fair, you know, you lose a couple teeth, they're not going back in right away. What's the point? You know, if you can skate, you can skate. But like, you know, if you're out there like with a fucking torn ACL or something, that's not smart to keep skating.
No,
you know,
no.
well, you couldn't.
That
but-
sentence is so hilariously wild. You miss a couple teeth, you miss a couple teeth.
right.
Like-
They're not going back in right away.
Any normal adult, though, they lose one tooth. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, if I was sitting at my desk and a tooth fell out, I'd be like, fuck, I'm going home.
No, I'm finishing the workday, man. I'm finishing that shift. Here's the thing. I've got more jokes. I've got to help these fucking people at my discount store.
Sorry, but
No. It's perfect. No, that was
I like
perfect.
that. I was a pincher.
I've never heard of
I would
that.
pinch my upper thighs like and twist
Oh.
because I wasn't good at the cutting thing.
I also
Well,
was
I mean,
not
like the
good
blood-
to be
at
fair,
it.
I wasn't like good at it. I wasn't like carving cool things into
Well,
my
but I think what
No,
you're
but I
saying
mean like
is
the
like,
blood thing grossed me out.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
See,
I've
that
pinched
was
and
that's
twisted.
what did it for me. It was the blood.
Seeing the blood,
It would
yeah.
make it make it real, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know what's so therapeutic about it. Even
People
even
pull
right-
their hair. People.
I pull my beard hair still when I'm a little bit anxious.
when people who are not MMA fighters go out and train and spar and do shit like that, like it's the same thing.
Kind of
Like just because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a blade, if you're punching a punching bag because you're upset, it doesn't necessarily feel good, but something about it feels good.
right. There's
So
something
like
in there.
there's
You release some type of endorphins when you do any type of self harm.
well
Yeah.
with so like animals in zoos, like they can
Sure.
tell when an animal is depressed because instinctually there are things that they have to do throughout the day, every single day of their existence, in order to survive.
Right.
When that's taken away, everything becomes insanely confusing and they just nothing makes any sense.
Right.
So when us, like, even though our species is evolving and this and that, like at our core, those basic things have been taken away. Depression and things like that. We're learning more and more that like older generations are like, I had no idea I was depressed.
Right.
I had no idea that I
Right.
had PTSD. So like, there's all of these things, like we're all monkeys in cages, basically.
It's interesting that you bring up PTSD because when I first heard of PTSD, the only thing I heard was like soldiers from war.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
like to hear the fact that like some of my friends or some people I care about are like, yeah, I have PTSD from this. I like the first time a friend of mine told me they have PTSD, I was like, you've never been to war? What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
but now, you know, it's really just any trauma.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
can be from any trauma whatsoever.
And whatever you feel as a trauma, no one can tell you like, well,
Right.
that wasn't traumatic
Right.
enough there,
Yeah.
And
Sharon.
it's very unfortunate that a lot of people have that view of it. Like I've been able to change it a little bit, but you know there are many people who in the world who still feel that like PTSD is for coming back from war and that's it. And if you like you're making it up for attention if you have post-traumatic stress disorder from like
I was just talking to a friend of mine, and her child does treatments, and after one treatment, he didn't come out very well, and he was having a lot of neurological problems, and then they had to bring him back to the ER, and then it's been probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years since this happened, and then she had to bring him for like speech therapy at the same place, and all of a sudden all these feelings like rushed back, and it's like
shoot.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's trauma. Like that's PTSD right there. But like you just move forward, you don't think about it. You're like, man, I really dealt with that really well. And then all of a sudden, a smell, a song, anything.
Smells are so hard. Yeah.
They are.
And music too.
Yeah,
we could do a whole different episode about how I feel about music, and like I go through stretches where I listen to music nonstop, and then I go through stretches where I can't hear a note. Like I have to turn it off completely. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Brains are interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I say it once a week, but it's the whole like starving children in Africa.
Like your trauma's not as bad as my trauma.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Like
I hate
you
that.
shouldn't just the knowledge of bad things does not lessen your bad thing.
Right.
Almost never. I can't think of a single time when somebody was like, and then I learned about all of these starving children in Africa, and I just started licking every single plate clean. It's like, no, fucking your reality is.
And I don't like when like someone's telling you about things they're going through, but they know things you've gone through. Like I've gone through a lot of really bad stuff, and like someone will tell me, but I mean, I don't care. Like I'm not, my depression, whatever, my PTSD is not. Just because you experience that, we can be on equal playing fields.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when people do that too, because it's like, no, you shouldn't. You can tell me things like that's fine.
No, this is the time to talk about you. Like,
yeah,
I know I have my shit.
Yeah,
like, you know I have
but
my
it doesn't
shit.
mean that oh, you should be like, I shouldn't complain about my stuff because I know what you've gone through. Fuck, if you're hurting, that's it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Our hurt can still be on the same level.
Yeah.
Dude, I was glad that you said that you really enjoy White Claws right now. Like, there are people who are like afraid to mention that type of shit around me, and it's like, it should only be bad if you're trying to force that on me.
Right.
If you're just talking about a fucking thing that you enjoy, my circumstance shouldn't take away from other people.
Sure.
So like the fact that you didn't feel weird at all about saying that.
Well, yeah, and like, you know, like I said, when I first got here today, like, you know, I asked, I forget what I even asked you, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that about you because because like I don't care, like not from like an aspect of like, oh, I don't give a fuck about you as a person. It's like I just don't care, you know, like that doesn't define you to me. Like I don't see, oh, that's my alcoholic friend Chris. It's like, oh, that's just my friend. I forget his name sometimes, but I think Chris. You know what I mean?
Good Chris.
Oh yeah, this is good Chris. You know what I mean? Like I don't
call back.
That was an excellent callback.
Very good.
Thank you guys.
But, like it's like I just see you as Chris. You know what I mean? I see you as whatever you're Steph. And
that's funny. That was supposed to be Chris's name if he was a girl.
That's true. Stephanie.
You could still be Steph.
I think I could.
You think we could change it?
For sure.
I'm a notary, so.
Are you really?
No, of course not.
Like, what?
Well, we keep finding out that people have that fucking job. It's so funny you said that.
It's so funny.
My mom is.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So many people are notaries. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
People need notaries for shit.
I don't even know what it means. What does it mean?
It's just a fancy person that watches you sign your name, and
they're just legally spotting you.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I keep forgetting where the camera.
You missed how I started the show. I'm excited for you to see it later.
That's if I watch it.
That's the thing. Is like, I mean, no offense. I'm not gonna listen to this.
I know sometimes I listen to it and I'm like, oh, okay.
Here's the thing. If I get feedback from specific people that are like, oh, I liked this part, I will go in and like
find that part.
I'll go find that part and listen to it. But like for the most part, I'm obviously having a good time. I enjoy, you know, I would come back here any time you guys want me to, but like I just don't like. I would rather have this moment right now, you know. Like I don't need to relive it. It wasn't that good, so
yeah.
But like, if I hear specific feedback and stuff, like I don't even listen to my own podcasts, you know. Like,
who edits it?
Joe. We don't really edit.
Oh,
we just go for it.
See, I have to listen to each episode at least twice.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
like,
his
and
ego.
that's just no. That's
I know. I'm just being.
And then I start editing.
And then I gotta listen to it 2 more times to edit it. And then I listen to it on my way to work.
I think we've only cut I think maybe we've done like just over 40 episodes or so. I think we've only had to cut something out of like 2 or 3 where it was just like a riff where I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or, I got a little too specific with something. It's always me we're cutting out, by the way.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I get cut a lot. Well, it's for Dude Absolutely. I have to edit shit out.
Yeah.
I call comics out. Like, I'm
You
going to have to
got-
bleep out. I'm going to have to bleep out because I have to bleep out once a fucking week.
Keep saying you gotta
God
bleep that
damn
out.
it. If
Do you
you're wearing
bleep those out?
Yeah.
I saved you, though. You don't have to bleep out the other one.
I don't bleep out Ira
Okay.
for the thing that he did. I don't know if you heard about that. But that night that you were there at Keller, so James and I...
We'll cut this.
Is this off the air?
No.
Okay.
Because now I've said it.
Oh, we're recording right now?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been recording this whole time.
I think...
I was waiting for us to start.
At least 5 minutes. But so James and I are sitting in a booth talking, and Ira comes up and he sets that pitcher of beer that he was walking around with, set it down on the table. And I was like, oh, I thought like, because of his hand, I was like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. And then he starts sliding it towards me. And I was like, okay. And I had that quick thought of like, okay, fellow comics, he's going to like pick it up at the last second and be like, just fucking with you. Slides it over, slides it off the table on top of my hands and goes, remember that?
Oh,
Remember how that feels?
interesting.
And I was so shocked. Luckily, James was there. He was like, what the fuck, man? Knock it off.
What is it? What did he say? Why you did it?
No. And then he didn't seem embarrassed by it. He just picked it up and walked away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I remember that day. I mean, I do remember that day, but I think I remember him being pretty tuned up that day.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna cut this out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
You
cut
already talked about it. Cut it out. No one wants to
that
hear it
was
twice.
a great about. We already talked about it.
About the
Yeah.
board.
But I mean, yeah, we've talked about that night a couple of times because like that
Yeah,
mic's
that's
on the
fucked.
verge of being shut down and like
What?
yeah,
Yeah. That's really weird that he would do that.
it was super weird. And then right before I went on stage, he came up to me and he whispered in my ear, "Don't fuck this up."
Oh yeah, that happens a lot though with
See,
comedy. Yeah.
But my thing was, if the first thing hadn't happened, that's normal, fucking with each other. But the first thing happened, and I was like, "Thanks, man."
There's a comic. I'm not gonna say who it is because you'll probably just bleep
Chris
it out
Duke.
anyway. There's a comic named we'll call him Discrook. He he's a headliner, and like the first couple of times he brought me out on the road and stuff. I would be leaving stage, and like I was like, yeah, that went all right. He would come back and he would just slap me on the back and go, you'll get him next time. And it's so fucking funny.
I thought you were saying he slaps your butt every time.
No, that
That's
would be
really
preferred.
funny.
It's really funny. It would be like, next, almost. You'll get there. It's so funny. It's really good.
Almost
That's good
doesn't count
shit.
though. So
True.
Ooh, almost doesn't count. Unless you're in Fast and the Furious.
if you're not
Then
first, you're
everything almost
last.
counts.
No, that's Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying shit.
We have to bleep out Ricky Bobby too.
I think we do.
Oh my god.
That is fun sometimes to bleep out things when I haven't actually said anything bad.
Yeah.
When you don't need to.
And then Chris will be like, "Come listen to this. It sounds so funny." And I'm like, "What are you?" And then
That's
I try
a-
in my head, like, "What did he bleep out? I was there."
That's
I don't remember that.
That's a bit on Kimmel. Kimmel does that.
really?
Unnecessary censorship.
Oh, that's funny.
They take like political speeches and they fucking
Oh,
put in random
Oh,
bleeps, and
I
it's
love that.
fucking hilarious. It's so funny because they'll bleep out his mouth too. Like
Can we
they'll
talk
blur it.
about how happy I am the elections are over?
No,
Okay.
absolutely.
We're done
not.
with that.
Yeah,
We're done
it's
with
over.
talking about elections.
No, I am also glad, but I am also nervous about the transfer of power.
yeah.
We're not quite done yet.
Yeah, we're on the verge of
It's
a
too
civil war.
cold. It's too cold to protest. People just stay
Here?
home. Yeah, it's true.
I hear Texas is booming.
That's where everyone moved to. Oof. All right, I gotta
Casey,
pee.
tell us all of the things, man. You have a podcast with what's his name, Joe Quill.
Joe something or other. No, Joe. And I bleep his name out for sure. We do Joke Quest 200.
Oh, that's right. I always say
which-
2000 in my head.
I know,
I know why
because
it's 200.
so fucking funny. It's my favorite name of a podcast. It's a lot of fun actually. We do. I don't know if I need to explain it, but like what we do is it's Joe and I, and then we have a guest, and everybody writes a handful of like one-liner jokes, essentially jokes you can fit on like a note card, because when we were doing this in the before times, we would write them on note cards, throw them all into a jar, and then randomly draw them out and read them.
Okay.
Now, because of COVID, we have to do it like virtually, where we put it in a Google form and then randomize it and send it to each other. So essentially we just have we've had comics from all over the country lately, because we're not limited to physical space anymore.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple really fun episodes, and it's really starting to kind of like take off a little bit. And it's been fun. So if people enjoy, it's obviously much different than this. We don't get as serious as we have here, but it's a lot more lighthearted and a lot more fun, and a lot shorter than 5 hours that we've been recording now, for sure. So but no, it's great. Check that out. And then, for the love of God, just come out when comedy comes back. Just
support your local comics, support your local businesses, support your local comics.
Well, I mean, where can people find? Are you still doing social media stuff?
Fuck no. I actually I've deleted all the social media off my phone right now.
Wow, good for you.
And it's been glorious. My screen time was at like 5 hours last week. This week it's at 2. So I'm not missing any booking things right now. So I took a lot of shit off my phone, and honestly, like the time I spent staring at my phone, I'm now just staring at the wall. But like
the wall needs that attention.
Yeah, like I'm not like doing anything grand with my time, but I'm not staring at my phone, and that feels pretty good. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram for my once a year posts. It's just my name, Casey Flesch, on there.
Do you have a website?
I do, but I haven't updated it since the before times. So
I see.
There's a couple sketches on there.
Before COVID.
Yeah, there's a couple sketches up there. I don't know. I wrote a movie. If you are nice enough, I'll send you the script. You can read it if you want.
Wow.
That was my project at the beginning of the shutdown. I was like, I'm gonna fucking write a movie. So I wrote a movie.
Wow.
It sucks, but it's like 100 pages. So
oh hell yeah, man!
It's pretty fun. So if anybody wants to read that, I don't know, send me an email or something, whatever. there's nothing
you can do
to
it.
promote.
You don't need to. Whatever.
I don't.
No, I know. It's just funny to like, if anybody wants to read my screenplay, just shoot me an email. Maybe I'll send it to you.
I don't give a shit.
I might not get the ding on my phone because I don't have that, but
Yeah.
We'll see.
If I check my.
Okay. So the last thing that we do, our listeners are called ducklings.
Oh, yeah.
So we say, au revoir, little ducklings, quack, quack.
Au revoir, little ducklings, quack, quack.
I have to do this?
Yeah.
Au revoir, right? Au revoir, little ducklings, quack, 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 quack.